sec. Yay! Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Dearborn, Michigan. Yeah. What about it?
Well, just you see like a lot of Muslims come over, and then we see things like the police seal being proposed to be in Arabic, a lot of front stores being in Arabic. A lot of people, when
I don't
it's
really care.
mass assimilation, they don't really speak English, and so I think that alone like isn't compatible with the United
Wait, do
States because you
Muslims
can't
not?
even understand the
I'm
language.
sorry. Is it like? Do we have any data suggesting there's a problem with Dearborn, Michigan, with like Muslims not understanding like English?
Well, my whole point is the stores are going up in Arabic and they're proposing changing the police seal
I don't really
to
care.
be in the Arabic language. Do you not see that as a problem in a country where a
No,
majority
I
of the
don't. No,
people
I don't
speak
really see it. I
English?
don't. I don't really see it as a problem, right? Like this, I think that happens in like some like enclaves. Like there's places in like New York where you might see like streets that have like Italian in names, or maybe like Irish. Irish, I think it's like Gaelic names. And you say that like in places like Chinatown. I
But
think it's
those are
fine. I mean,
heavily
like where.
diverse areas. I'm talking about areas specifically where it's a high population density of people specifically that believe Islam. You don't see the diversity of multiple different languages. It's just one predominant, and that's Arabic.
What do you mean
So, like, you're
heavily
talking about an
like
area
you
where
think
there's
like you think
already
wait you
diverse
think that
people.
areas in New York have like Italian street names and which are like heavily diverse? Like
But
they
the
because
street
it's like
next,
predominantly
right? But the
the
street right
Italian.
next over is an Italian. That's my whole
Wait,
point.
like what's the
That's a
percentage of like
specific.
wait, what's the percentage of Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan even?
You're using right. It's not as high as a percentage as somewhere like diversity New York. It's more Muslims and then Christians. You don't have that same as far as like Hindus or Jews. Like you would have that influence in New York. So you using an
They're like 40.
example of,
They're like 40, but
but
they're like 40%, right?
right,
So
and you're
obviously that's
using
still
an
that's still
example of an area that's extremely diversified. I'm using an example of where you only have pretty predominantly Islamic values and then Western
an
values,
area.
like a
So
place
yeah,
like
obviously,
Dearborn,
so yeah,
Michigan.
an area. Yeah, so obviously an area like Dearborn, Michigan, which is like 40% Muslim, probably the rest is probably like made up like Christians, Hispanic. I guess let's just say like white people. That's gonna be very diverse between like Polish, Irish, whatever, Italian. Then you're gonna have like Hispanics and like African Americans. That's like Dearborn, Michigan is like pretty diverse within itself.
Not
Yeah, I don't really
not
see. I
even
don't really see. I
comparable
don't really
though to
see. I
where
don't
you
really
can
see. I
use
don't really see a. I don't really see a problem with that, right?
how,
Unless,
because you're
unless,
using New York, which you can admit is way more full of diversity than Dearborn, Michigan, and that's my
yeah.
point. You're
There's also,
using
if you want, I could use like there's towns in the Midwest that spoke entirely German and taught in German up until World War I when we had high populations of German immigrants, and also towns in the Midwest which spoke like different Nordic languages because they're predominantly Nordic, but those people assimilated fine. So I don't think just because some areas specifically are like different Muslim, and then sometimes they will like to name their street names after that. I don't think that automatically means that we have like a problem there, right?
well, it's already a problem of communication. And what was
Well,
the conclusion with the Germans that you were saying? Like that example, what was the conclusion from that story?
it's not like they didn't speak English, huh?
Did they speak English eventually or no?
But they did speak English. They just like
So
also
that's my whole point. These people don't even, a lot of them don't even know English.
yeah.
So
What's your
you're
evidence?
using
What's
an
your evidence that
example of
I
somebody who
asked you?
also,
I asked you previously. What's your evidence that in like Dearborn, Michigan, that Muslims aren't speaking English or can't speak English, and you didn't provide me any source for that, right?
well, I mean, I guess one source that I can think of off the top of my head was when Nick Shirley went there and he was going in the predominantly Muslim
I don't
areas
care
and none
about.
of these people spoke. I'm
I don't
giving
care
you an
about Nick
example of
Shirley,
something I
dude.
saw. You just asked, and none of them were speaking English. So
Yeah, what's the
that's a
population of
firsthand
Dearborn,
example.
Michigan? Like here, wait.
I'm t-
Population
that's my whole
of
example right now. Why do you
yeah, 100,000 people. What? So 50,000 residents. Let's say you talk to like 20 people. You're not even getting to 1%, bro. Why the fuck should I care about that? That's not. That's not.
but
That's not evidence to prove.
it's
That's
a
that's not
prime
enough evidence to prove the claim that like Muslims in Dearborn,
still
Michigan, can't speak English, dude.
you did this last time though. You just always say it's not enough evidence, but then you use an
Yeah,
example like
obviously.
New
Yeah. If I
York where
yes,
it's heavily
if I take,
diversified.
if I go
Like
into a white,
what?
if I went
How is
into
that
a white,
evidence good?
if I went, sorry, if I went into a white community and I of like 50,000 people and I talked to 20 of them, which is less than 1% of their entire population, and those 20 people couldn't speak English, then I wouldn't just assume that the rest of the population couldn't speak English. Now would I? That would obviously be really dumb.
No, you obviously wouldn't. That's why you
Yeah,
use your
so
logical
that's not enough evidence. I
conclusions to
just
say
want to
that.
prove.
Listen, you're
Obviously,
cutting me
evidence
off,
is
and you're saying my evidence isn't good enough, but yours,
Yes.
when New York is supposedly better than that. Like, come on, that's not good faith.
Those are
But my
two
whole
different
point
arguments,
is,
obviously.
if you're seeing a video where 20 people already are, and then you're also seeing in the background the stores are written in Arabic, I think it's a pretty logical conclusion to say, okay, well, if here's an example of 20 people who don't, and they also have kids in the video, they also have other relatives in the video, I'm going to guess all these other people probably don't either. That's a heck of a lot more than 20. Dude, do you think they just...
Obviously not true, right?
Wait. If you know somebody's doing an interview that speaks in English, why would you have the person who doesn't speak English talk to them?
If I go into places...
No. Hold up.
I'm sorry.
He's doing an interview in English.
Sorry, there's places I live which are like predominantly Asian, and some of the street names and some of the stores are Asian, like have Asian names like Korean or like.
But a lot of those Asians can speak English.
Names. Exactly. So
right. So when an American goes into that store,
people in America are often multilingual. So my question to you is, just because those people are speaking a different language or the street names doesn't mean the rest of the population isn't multilingual either. It doesn't mean that it could be speaking Arabic and English. And
I just told you an example.
Showing a Nick Shirley video with 20 people is not enough evidence to prove the majority of Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan don't speak English effectively.
But can you not at least acknowledge from that video that there's at least somewhat of a population that doesn't then in that area?
Yeah, obviously.
You have to at least acknowledge that.
You can't, any immigrant I would agree. Yes, there's somewhat of any immigrant.
Would you say that that's an issue then, regardless of if that's Muslim or not?
No, I don't think that's an immediate issue. No.
So you're not even being good faith because you don't even see that it's a problem at all. How the heck do you not see it as a problem? When somebody moves here and doesn't speak English and doesn't even try to learn, you don't see that as a problem?
How do you know?
That's like idiotic.
Wait, how do you know they're not trying to learn?
Because you just said that, and I just said that. These are grown people.
No, I said I don't think it's an immediate problem that they don't speak English. Obviously, if they never try and learn, that would be a problem. But a video where they can't speak English at the moment doesn't mean they're not trying to learn the language. Now, does it?
Bro, it completely does. These are grown adults who have been here for years. It doesn't take years to learn a language, dude.
Wait, did Nick Shirley go ask each of them when they came over to the United States, and it was all 5 years ago?
Do you think it was that recent? Is that your logical conclusion?
I don't know.
You think all those people showed up in 2 years?
Video.
Come on.
I'm sure they never asked that question. I'm sure you don't know either.
Your logical assumptions are just so bad.
You're just assuming these people have been in
You did.
You're assuming they didn't try and learn the language, and you're generalizing that to the rest of the population. Those are relevant questions that you would ask, and you know what? Maybe if you had, I don't know, a study, you could actually prove that.
Do you have a study that proves against it?
No, because I'm not trying to make the claim.
Okay, that's it. There's not no but. There's not no but. There's no but. There's no but. You said no.
Can't speak English.
You said no but. So we're arguing with the same amount of studies done.
Huh?
And you're saying my evidence is bad, but I just asked, do you have a study, and you said no, but.
Do you know how the debate works?
I'd assume you'd like to present evidence, and you just said no.
Provide the evidence for it, so that it's not my job to do that for you.
But you just said it doesn't happen, so I said, show me your evidence. I have none. So your rebuttals are just that those immigrants came over just recently. And you said it doesn't happen, and I said, so those people have been.
I never said it didn't happen. I said I don't know if they came over recently or not. I don't know if those immigrants came over recently.
You don't even have any evidence, and you're interrupting, and your logic is
you're not tracking the conversation. What I said is that your video isn't going to prove whether those people came over recently or not, or trying to learn English or not, obviously. Are we dumb?
Yo, so I can actually attest to what that guy was saying there. I've seen video footage.
I don't care.
Is that good enough evidence for you?
Nope.
Video?
Nope.
So if I show you a video, you're going to reject and say that this must be falsified. You're a fucking clown, bro.
Why do you think I would say that?
I hope that God punishes and torments you for fucking forever.
Why do you think I would say that?
You've never even read the Quran, and yet you say that we should have Islam in America. You're a moron. Go and read the fucking scripture first.
Why do you think I would say that? Why do you think I would say show me a video?
Islam is not compatible with the West because
Cool, man.
in Islamic nations
Just
they
real
sleep
quick,
with
do you,
children.
okay, this sounds
In
this is gonna sound
Iran,
really nerdy, but I
go
think
and
it's
look it up.
important for the
Do they
audience.
sleep with children?
Are you wait, do you know what like a hasty generalization fallacy is? And I know this sounds so fucking nerdy, okay? And this is not
I don't
you know what it is?
care. You're trying
Okay.
to appear intellectual, but you
I'm not
stand for
trying. Okay,
nothing and
do you,
have
okay,
you
here.
have no
I'll-
morals.
Okay,
They
wait.
they
just give me a
sleep with
sec.
children.
If
All
I
right,
sh-
do
if
you
I
like
showed you wait, if I showed you let me say that. If I showed you like 10 videos of white people murdering people, would you then make the assumption that white people have a problem murdering people? Would you generalize that
You're
to the whole race?
deflecting. You're deflecting
No,
now. You know that
answer
they
the
sleep with
question. Would you
children.
say the
You s-
white race specifically has a problem with murdering people disproportionately?
no, it would be okay. According to
No.
federal statistics.
Oh,
Oh, would you
statistics.
like to
So
know?
what you're
Yeah, we
basically
can use
telling me.
statistics.
So I just want to be clear. So what you're basically saying is that merely looking at videos that take a very small sample of people and then generalizing to that population is kind of unfair to that entire group when we do it with white people. But if Muslims, when I take one video of some Muslims, or even 10, let's say 10 videos of some Muslims doing something, it's okay to generalize that to the population. Do you see kind of how unfair that is?
No,
You see why
you're
that's
really
not
not
good
gonna.
evidence for your claim?
Okay, be silent for a moment, and I'm going to educate you.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
I'll start.
The African American homicide victimization rate for 2023 in the United States from the Federal Bureau of Statistics is 10,000 black men have been shot dead. 80% of them, 8,000, were shot dead by other black people.
Okay,
This
and
is
what
from
does that have to
the
do with
Federal
anything we're
Bureau.
talking about?
So it shows that you're intellectually dishonest by
How am I
labeling all
intellectually
white people.
dishonest? How does that debunk anything I said?
You know that black on black crime is a severe problem in the United
How does
States.
that debunk anything I said? My only point
Because
was that
you're jumping
I know you
around.
think I went. Yes, obviously I know that
You're
black people
jumping
disproportionately.
around because you
Obviously I know
cannot
black
keep up.
people disproportionately commit crime per capita. That's
They
why I
they
gave
they
you.
commit
That's why I gave you. That's why I gave you the example of me showing you videos
per
of white people
capita.
committing crime.
Per
Can I finish?
capita, they commit a
Can I finish?
disproportionate amount of crime. Way
That's
too
literally
many
what I just
crimes.
said, dumbass.
They murder
Okay, so
too many people.
obviously, wait. Give me a sec, dude, Michael. Obviously, know that. That's why I said it would be unfair to generalize as white people doing commit crime just because I showed you like some videos of doing it. You need statistics to prove that, and that's why I'm saying when you do that with Muslims, right? When you take a couple of videos and you try and generalize that to the population of 4.5 million people, that's also unfair. I literally already
Okay,
knew that
so
data. So you just
objective-
repeating it back to me, you're just reinforcing the prior point I made. You need data to prove things.
An
not just
objective
videos.
statement is that child marriage is permissible in many Islamic nations. Secondly, in the UK, they had the scandal where 250,000 girls were raped by Muslims, and the government did nothing about it.
Yeah, can you prove that's happening in America?
Can I prove that this is happening in America?
Like they're disproportionately doing in America.
No, but I can look
Okay,
at how they
I'm
practice
talking
it.
about American compatibility, right? The UK is one far more racist and
Well,
adverse to immigrants.
you're a fucking
Number
moron
one,
to
and
think that
number
they're going
two,
to do
the
it.
UK also has the worst assimilation culture, so I don't really care what happens
Islam
there.
will be practiced the same way in all
that's not true.
nations. Yes,
Really?
yes.
Wait, do you think like Quranists and Sunnis practice Islam the same way?
Similarly,
Similarly, so does a Quranist believe in the story of Aisha?
what? I mean, I would think so.
No, Quranists only believe in the Quran. The story of Aisha and the Hadith, dumbass. Obviously not. So they wouldn't believe in child marriage. So
Okay, so it's
you don't know
similar.
anything
It's
about
similar
Islam
to
either, so
Christianity.
oh yeah, oh
It's
my
like
god, bro.
Christianity.
Oh no. So we're gonna keep moving on. So right, so if we look at Muslim majority countries like Kosovo, which the age of consent is 16 right? Obviously that they practice Islam way differently than like Iran. If we look at Muslim majority
That's
countries
not
like
marriage. That's not the
Albania-
marriage. That's not the marriage age. You said the
Huh?
age of consent. I'm speaking about the age to marry a child.
Oh, I don't know if the age of marriage is.
Because you're a moron. That's why.
Yeah,
Shame on you. You fucking disgusting.
The age for marriage in the United States is like 14 in a lot of states, anyways. So I don't. This is not even a point to be made. W host, I know, right? I am a W. I am the W's. Okay, everybody loves me. Colors showing that the YT propensity for violence. You literally just brought up the fact that you are wrong trying to sound intellectual and spewing nonsense you heard on some website. Don't be hard on yourself, man. You may be weak now, but you'll be stronger later. Damn. Chat is unfortunate today. Okay, wait. Sorry, YouTube chat's being really dumb.
How you doing, host? What's up? I'm 24. I'm doing good, brother. I'm a Muslim. I just wanted to ask that guy a question. You know, since he's gonna lie about my faith, and ask him where in my religion does it say that child marriage is allowed? You know, I just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. The only argument I make to that is like one. I don't know what people complain about child marriage when it's like permissible and like I don't. Isn't it like 20 states in the United States?
Well,
It's like majority. Right.
Well, the thing is, in the Quran, it talks about they have to be has to go through puberty, follow the laws of the land, and maturity. Right? It doesn't actually state that you're allowed to marry. They have to have these at least these criteria to marry them. Right?
Yeah.
And just like in the Bible, it doesn't actually tell you an age. And they try to well, it doesn't say an age. Well, okay, you still have to prove, but that's still a negative fallacy. You still have to prove that it says to marry a child, which it does not. Right? It actually puts up criteria of the way that the person is grown for you to marry, and that's the same thing in the Bible. So like I don't understand what the argument is.
I just looked it up. Yeah, majority of the U.S. states allow child marriage, right? So people will kick fearmonger about them changing the laws over here. It's already legal in most states around here, y'all. Which is, I think, is disgusting. By the way, okay, fuck Christians for that shit. That's disgusting. But yeah, it's just like not a problem. I don't know why people act like it. And then once again, Muslims assimilate to our culture. It's been happening.
And I just want to add in the Quran, it says to follow the laws of the land. They should look at, and I want these people that I get a lot of these anti-Muslim people, and I ask them, okay, give me verses, and these people could never give verses, or they take something out of context, or they cherry pick, and they don't actually pick up the book and read. Just pick up, if you're gonna speak on a religion, just please pick up a book and read the whole book. It doesn't take much. But
oh, I just realized Kosovo. Let's see. Kosovo generally prohibits child marriage. Yikes. Okay, let me see. Under family, a child is a person is unclear. Okay, so you have to be 18 in Kosovo to marry.
is it
a Muslim majority country has
18?
stricter laws around a Muslim majority country literally doesn't allow child marriage, and majority of U.S. states do. Yikes.
Well, look at the UK. Isn't the UK still 16?
I think it is it?
Yeah. Look it up. It's a Christian nation. Where do they update it?
It's okay for Northern Ireland and Scotland. It's 16, and for England and Wales, it's 18.
Okay, so they updated. Okay. Yeah. So So you see, it's like it's different people. They try to conflate how certain people
Keep
like
trying to ask different questions instead of answering the ones you got wrong. What questions have I gotten wrong? What's chat even saying? Let me read chat more. I would be right in the case. Oh, chat, you guys are actually low IQ. Holy shit, dude. Wait, you were here when I made the point about like crime rates, right?
Yeah, because he tried to say about.
Saying.
Yeah, he's trying to say, oh wow, there's a video, and you're demonstrating. Okay, is it okay if I show like 10 videos of a white dude unaliving people? Does that mean it represents all white people in America? And then he's like, oh, and they bring up the FBI stat. So it went above that. He doesn't get that just because you see a couple of videos of a couple of people.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you, but I don't know in what world anybody would take that or interpret that as me saying that like black people don't commit crime disproportionately. that was just me demonstrating that using videos in like a very limited sample size, uh, samples of like data to try and prove something doesn't like work when you're generalizing it to populations of millions of people. That's the only thing I was proving. I
Right.
don't know why people say like people are spamming 1350 in my chat from earlier. I'm like, what? Yeah, nobody was denying that. Okay, holy shit, low IQ, dude.
Yeah, it's just they're very low, and I don't know. Like he went and just started talking about black, like that's just race, like nothing. Yeah, like everything, like what you said went above his fucking head. He didn't get that the methodology to his claim is not enough to demonize a whole group by his own answer to white when to test to see if he's consistent when it comes to white people, which he wasn't. And then he started bringing up FBI stats and black people. Like, dude, like everything you said like went above his head.
Yeah. Well, my main here's how I should be doing this more in debates. I just define, and you're Muslim, right? So I
Right.
just define somebody being Muslim as somebody who believes that Muhammad is the final prophet, uh,
Right.
who delivered the word of Allah, right?
Yeah,
And
that's it.
and whatever interpretation the religious text outside of that, I don't give a fuck. People can argue about that shit. That's a broad definition of Muslim that I take to be. And what people do in these debates is that they try and very narrowly define what a Muslim is to being like to like if you don't believe in this, then you're not a Muslim, right? So you point out, look at all this data of Muslims believing in homosexuality and being accepting of the United States, being accepting of women's rights, being accepting of democracy, being accepting of not having child marriage. And you'd be like, well, those people aren't Muslims, okay? I'm talking about the real Muslims, okay? The real scary ones. Those are the ones out here. But guess what? Those are the people you guys are fear mongering about. The ones that I'm pointing to the data who are assimilating, those are the people you're saying are taking over America, are going to implement these rules. And they're the ones who are assimilating the country. It's like if it's like if some I was like arguing and saying like, oh, Christians aren't compatible with the United States, and he said, well, look, Christians believe this and this. I said, well, those aren't the real Christians, bro. Real Christians really believe that hate democracy because according to my specific interpretation of the Bible, all Christians must hate democracy, and all Christians must believe in like child marriage, and all Christians must believe it's okay to rape children.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like they don't even like they don't even understand. Like they don't get the verses correctly, and they don't. A lot of these people have never picked up the book. If they actually did read a book, they would understand what the book says. Talks about giving to the poor, following the laws of the land. You know, saying fasting once during Ramadan, praying 5 times a day. How are these things like these? What most Muslims are doing? I don't know how these are affecting these people.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, um, I had a response to the prompt. I was wondering
Yeah,
if you
go
guys
ahead,
wanted
dude.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think Sharia law comports with America?
Basically, I just take a very broad definition of Muslim, which is somebody who believes that Muhammad is the final prophet, believes in the word of Allah. I think people will often change their interpretations of religious texts based on the culture around them. So I think when people come into the United States, their views or like what they think is or is not Sharia law will change, and I think that's pretty much demonstrated by like the data that we have on like Muslims' beliefs over time in the United States, and views like women's rights, homosexuality, whether Islam is compatible with democracy.
I'm not sure if that answers my question. So when I say, what do you think?
When you say your question is basically, I have this like very narrow idea of what Sharia law is, and I don't think that's compatible with the United States, which whatever your idea is probably is true. And but I'm saying, well, people will change what they think is Sharia law based on the culture around them, so it'll more comport with like what Western culture is, and therefore it would be compatible. So it is an answer to your question.
So to be clear, you're saying that the Muslims that come to America, they will Americanize their Sharia, and
Yes,
therefore the Americanized Sharia is compatible with America.
yes, and therefore Islam is compatible.
Have you seen studies on Muslims in the West and what percentage of them believe in certain inhospitable parts of Sharia?
Muslims in the West and in the United States, yeah, I've seen like studies on that.
Yeah. Did you think that all of the beliefs that the Muslims in the West held when they were surveyed that comports with your idea of what you want in America?
Seems to be, at least for
So
the United States. I don't know about like the UK or other countries.
Yeah, I think the UK had a really big study a little bit ago, where they talked about if they think Sharia should be implemented, and they think that as part of Sharia, should things like blasphemy, things like apostasy, and they've done like worldwide studies too about, or multinational studies about how they think apostates should be treated under Sharia,
Mhm.
and an alarming number of them believe that they should have their life stripped from them.
Makes sense. That's unconvincing to me, and I'll tell you why. I think that places like Europe and the UK are way more adverse to immigrants coming to their country, as in, basically, I think they're more xenophobic or racist, and I think that means that Muslims in those countries aren't as good as assimilating. So that's why I look at studies from the United States specifically, right? And I think there's good studies on this. So there's a Science Directive has a good article on a Harvard study that looked into like what are the main reasons that like immigrants won't assimilate into like a different country, different culture, and like one of the D1 number one reasons is the other country or the existing population is like racist or xenophobic to the immigrant population coming in, right? And I think you see that a lot with immigrants in Europe, and that kind of like pushes them to these cultural enclaves where they keep a lot of these beliefs. And because like the UK, unlike the United States, hasn't had to deal with like massive amounts of immigration, like the United States has to deal with for almost its entire existence, they aren't as good as being able to like accept immigrants into their communities, into their culture. So yeah, I would expect that when like Muslims come into the UK versus when Muslims come into the United States, that they're having problems assimilating because the United States is less racist and less xenophobic, one, and then two, has a better assimilation culture because we've had to deal with pathways to immigrants. So that's why I think it's more convincing or better to look at studies from just the United States.
Okay, is there so two things. One, I'm happy to look at these studies that you're talking about, but
Yeah.
before we get to that, it seems to me what you're saying is that the Muslims in Europe, they hold this unpalatable, illiberal view because they're not assimilating. In other words, because they're too Muslim, their views are not compatible with our Western ideals of liberalism.
No,
That
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying because
okay.
I'm kidding. I'm saying because like I'm saying because people who are already in the UK before that like immigrants come in are already like xenophobic and racist, and then also because they haven't had to deal with past waves of immigrants coming to the country, that they already that they aren't as good as being able to assimilate these like people into like their culture, right? It's not like the UK prior to this had like giant cities like we have in the US, which were like full of like white, black, Hispanic people, and like even like prior to that like Arabs, even prior to modern day. Right?
Yeah, to be
But
clear,
we have
when I
right.
was
It's
yeah, go ahead.
easier for us to do that kind of stuff. I'm not. It's not about the they're too Muslim. It's literally about the UK doesn't have a good assimilation culture.
No, I think I'm connecting what you're saying all the way back to my question. So the way I'm connecting it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that because the Europeans are racist, the Muslims are not assimilating as much. Because the Muslims are not assimilating as much, they are carrying tenets of Islam that is not westernized. They don't have as much of a westernized, so they have a more original version of Sharia.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're not disagreeing. I was
Okay.
correctly summarizing your position.
Yeah.
So the obvious observation here is that if your position is that Islam is compatible with the West, insofar as we water Islam down and westernize Islam to something that many Muslims today would say is unrecognizable, right? Because what you've described, and I'm going to cite your examples, you've described an Islam that is okay with apostasy, that is okay with blasphemy. You've talked about an ideal Islam
interpretation or other Muslim interpretation. It depends. Yeah.
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, according to like somebody's your interpretation, right? Like I already defined what I think somebody being Muslim is just believing like Muhammad's the final prophet who delivered the word of Allah.
Yeah, but when we're talking about Sharia, that's a specific thing, right?
Isn't Sharia just mean law?
So, could you tell me what Sharia law is, man? Tell me what Sharia law is.
It's the laws of the Muslims in an Islamic land.
Okay, what is a law?
Wait, can you get to your point?
What is a law? You said it's a law. What is the laws of Sharia?
Wait, what is a law, or what is the law of Sharia?
What are the laws of Sharia?
I don't know all of them. I know the ones that matter to me.
Why are you speaking on it then? I have a question. Have you ever actually picked up the Quran and read it?
I have. Are you saying I
Oh,
shouldn't speak on?
really? So how did you read the? So how do you? How come you don't know what Sharia is
Okay,
then?
wait.
To be clear, I don't need to know every Sharia law in order to speak on Sharia.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you some verses since you're not educated. Chapter 2, verses 2, 5, 6. There's no compulsion in religion. Clearly, you didn't read the Quran. You're just repeating what you heard. Chapter 2, verses 2, 5, 6. No compulsion in religion means you can't force your religion on anybody. Also in the Quran, it talks about follow the laws of the land. Also in the Quran, it talks about chapter 2, verses 290. Fight those who only fight you. Do not exceed those limits. God does not like transgressors. It also says in the Quran, if you unalive an innocent person, it's like unaliving the whole world. If you save one life, it's like saving the whole world. And also in the Quran, it talks about you practice your religion, and I practice my religion.
Yeah, cool. What happens to a person who apostates under
Yes,
Sharia?
I don't follow by hadith beliefs. I'm a Quranist. So
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
to be
so
clear,
and even with and even within the hadith, even that's a hadith. I don't know if you know the distinction because that hadith goes against the Quran. So I would argue anybody. So that's very few Muslims who believe in the hadith. That's a weak hadith. But even the ones who would believe it, I would argue I would bring up chapter 2 verses 2, 5, 6, which it would clearly contradict the Quran. And most Muslims agree that the
Can I
Quran
ask you a
comes
question,
first.
Prince, real quick? Do Sunnis
Yeah.
believe in that hadith?
Huh?
do Sunnis believe in the Sahih Hadith of Bukhari?
Well, there's a lot of Sunnis, but not in that hadith. Most Sunnis don't
What
believe in that
percentage of
hadith.
Muslims are Sunnis?
Are you talking about that hadith specifically? No, most Sunnis don't believe it. Sunnis don't believe
I
in that
asked
hadith.
what percentage of
Most
Muslims
like
are Sunnis?
85%.
Gotcha. Can Sunnis reject the Sahih al-Bukhari?
Yeah. What about Sahih al-Bukhari?
I asked you.
They
Can
could reject hadiths that contradict the Quran. So what hadith from Sahih al-Bukhari do you have an issue with?
yeah, I mean, there should be obvious ones like the one where he
I don't want to
marries a
I
6-year-old.
want to bring the if you want to like make the point that a watered down version of Islam, fine, I guess. Yeah, I'm just saying like I guess to me that would be like saying like Christians, like I don't know, Christians like 200 years ago have way less conservative belief than now than they did, right? I wouldn't say that's a watered down version of Christianity. I would just say that Christianity has changed and people interpret religious texts based on the culture of the day. That's just
Okay.
how that shit
Yeah,
works.
you're saying what I'm saying. As long you believe Islam is only compatible with America insofar as Islam changes, like you just said, right? Islam has to change, be different, and then it can become compatible with America. In which case, I think that
I don't think Islam has to like change because like the beliefs I'm talking about were obviously existed outside the United States before, but I would say that a lot of Muslims' beliefs would need to change. As in, like, yes, Islam.
yeah.
Like,
To
I
be
would say
clear,
it's the way version. Like people might say, I think Christianity is compatible with the United States, which I do. I guess you could then bring up like one radical Christian group, maybe like the Westboro Baptist Church's beliefs aren't like compatible with like U.S. democracy. But I don't then say like, oh well, like the entirety of like there's not a world where I can imagine like Christianity not being compatible. They just need to believe in like Western, like basic liberal beliefs about like a secular government. I don't really care outside of that.
I get that. And to the reason I don't know how useful it is to disambiguate between Islam versus what Muslims believe of Islam. The reason why I don't think there's too much of a point in making that distinction is because neither you nor I are arbiters of some true Islam devoid of what the practitioners are actually believing, right? Okay. So in which case, if we define Islam as what the people believe of it, then in your own words, you've said that you want the people, what the Muslims believe of Islam to change, to Americanize, then it becomes compatible. In which case, what you are saying, by our own agreed upon definitions, is that you want Islam to change before it becomes compatible with America.
I don't think anybody holds a true definition of what like Islam is. Like I
agree.
Give very broad. I said like Islam is just like or like somebody who's Muslim or like Islam in general is like believing the Muhammad is the final prophet who delivered the word of Allah, right? Outside of that, there's like scholars like a Quranist is gonna have more towards my belief than like I don't know somebody who's like it's a part of like a Sunni ISIS.
I get what you're saying. Listen, you don't have to convince me that words are fuzzy.
I don't think anybody's like the arbiter of what Islam is. I would say
yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
I just take like a very broad. I'd say like this is like one belief that like all of these people are gonna have. That's what Islam is, and then like outside of that like some versions of this is compatible. Therefore, and it seems like when these people come in, they take that version up. So therefore, like Islam is compatible in that sense with the United States.
So you don't have to repeat yourself. So let me reiterate what we agree upon. As you've said, neither you nor I are arbiters of the core spiritual definition of Islam or whatever. In that case, as you've said, what you take Islam to be is the general beliefs that Muslims hold associated to Islam. Now, you've also said something very important. You've said that similar to how Christians, hundreds of years ago had significantly more conservative beliefs, and now Christians do not hold that belief. And insofar as Christians do not hold that belief, given that that is true, you say that Christianity is compatible with the West. And you even said you would never say Christianity is incompatible with the West. So in that same sense, if you define Christianity as the beliefs that Christians hold, and the beliefs that Christians hold changed in order to be compatible with in order for you to believe they are compatible with the West.
Then I not define Islam as somebody who believes that Muhammad is a final property of the word of Allah? I think that was my definition like 3 times.
Yeah, but remember, if they're the words of Allah, you already have interpretive vagueness, right? What are the words of Allah? What about the parts? What about the parts?
That's all I define Islam as, is whether outside of that I'm not litigating anything else.
So see, so in
Right, so
Islam,
One
that's-
second,
that's like
one
my
second, one
base
second, one
def-
second.
I would say the same thing for Christians. It's just like believing Jesus came here and like died for our sins or whatever.
Yeah. So would you say somebody is a Muslim if they say, "Oh yeah, I believe Muhammad's the final prophet, and Muhammad told me to worship a tree and worship Jesus as God"? Is that a Muslim?
Yeah, I say that. Yeah, so I said that person's like a Muslim, like identifies as one. Yeah.
Okay. In which case, only insofar as as Islam is devoid of any set rule, any set actual things from the Quran that are pinned down. As long, whatever the rules are, you believe that there could be some rules that are Americanized, and that is how you're defining Islam. In which case, there is no Islam here to talk about, right? Because
Well,
as
it
you've
is Islam
agreed,
because I just defined it.
yeah, I'm saying that conventionally speaking, for example, if I were to go to a Muslim, I think this person on the panel with us is a Muslim. Would I be a Muslim if I said, yeah, I totally believe Muhammad's a prophet of Allah, and I believe that there are 17 million gods?
no, you wouldn't be a Muslim for saying there's that's a pagan.
Good, thank you. So, host, I'm demonstrating to you that for you to accept Islam into the fold of America, you've had to bastardize Islam into something that Muslims do not recognize. Do you see that happening?
But yeah, but that literally anybody could say that about any interpretation of any religious text. Okay.
I don't know what that has to do with our conversation.
So
But
so
you're basically saying somebody could interpret like Islam in a way that was like very very outside the norm, or interpret like certain things. I'm saying, yeah, that could happen for any group, but that's why people always have contentions over like who the true Christians are, like who Muslims are, which is why I take a wide definition. Like,
Yeah, that's fine. I am not saying that there is no.
I don't think that person like is Muslim, but
That's fine.
If we're trying to like get the best definition,
I get it.
that
I get it. I
closest
get
to
it.
the concept of what Islam is, that's probably going to be the definition towards best.
Yeah, and the thing I'm pointing out to you, the reason I showed you this demonstration, is that your definition of Islam was not sufficient to satisfy. Which Muslim do you think would answer yes to what I just asked?
I don't know, somebody who believes in that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that not a lot of Muslims would, which should indicate to you that your definition of Islam probably needs a few more propositions added to it. Do you agree?
I actually disagree. I would say that.
Okay. If your definition of Islam is one that no Muslim agrees with,
I don't think I've heard. I think every other definition I've heard is like either significantly too narrow to encompass all Muslims and leaves like large populations out, or is like far too broad outside of that. I don't think I've heard
Yeah.
a definition that would like best.
Yeah, that's
encompass
fine.
that.
That's fine. So let's go over at least one thing you've agreed to, which is that, or one thing that you did not push back on, which is that the definition of Islam you're using right now is not a definition of Islam that any Muslim would currently agree with, because
Well,
I asked a simple question.
Prince agreed to my initial definition. He agreed to it. When I asked him if like that would be before you came up on the panel, so he agreed to it. I think the problem is that okay.
I showed an absurdity in
I
your
think
definition.
I think it's for any definition. Like if I was to go and like say what's the definition of a chair, and we go to look up the definition of a chair and ask you if you agree to that, most people would say yes, and they could give like an absurd example, like okay, well definition of a chair like necessarily means that you think like a log sitting on the ground like that falling over is a chair. Do you like accept that definition still? And they probably say, well, no. They would probably say, well, no. But they don't. The reason is because the way that we like group things or the way we define things is by like very general concepts, and it's not always going to track exactly on. So I'm just trying to get the definition that best encompasses the concept of Islam. Not that the definition has to be perfect. Just like I'm just trying to get a definition that best encompasses the concept of a chair, not a definition that perfectly maps on in every.
You don't have to repeat yourself. I don't know why you're saying one thing and you're like repeating it
Because
5
I'm
times.
repeating it
You
for
don't
the
have to.
audience because I know they don't understand.
Okay, gotcha.
Because the
I
YouTube chat is very dumb.
Okay. So I'm happy to accept a Wittgensteinian understanding of words and an understanding of concepts. We are obviously not going to have concrete, self-existent definitions of any concept because otherwise we wouldn't be able to interact conceptually with other concepts. There has to be fuzziness. That's how language works. I'm happy to accept that. The criticism I'm bringing to you is that your definition of Islam is something that allowed for a simple question of mine to be answered yes in your definition, and 100% of Muslims would answer it no, which is not the same as the chair conundrum that you've brought up.
I think
So-
okay. I don't know if you went up to the average Christian and you asked them, is somebody who is a Christian believes that like Jesus is the Messiah who died for our sins, would they say yes? Like generally.
Sorry, repeat your question.
Like if you went to the average Christian and you asked them, okay, would you say like somebody who's Christian believes that Jesus is the Messiah who came down to earth and died for our sins? Like they generally say yes?
Yeah, a Christian does hold that belief, but that
Okay.
belief is not the only thing defining a Christian.
Yeah, obviously, but
Mhm.
I'd agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but then if you ask them, okay, well, if there's somebody who believes that Jesus is the Messiah who died for our sins and then also believes in 20,000 other gods that were in Christian, they'd probably say no too.
Of
But
course.
I think that I still think that the initial definition like generally encompasses most of Christians. I don't know if there's
You just disproved your own point. Just
How?
just go back to your own hypothetical. You just said that, hey, is somebody who is a Christian, does a Christian hold this belief? And the answer is yes. And then you said, does a Christian hold this other belief? And if 100% of the Christians would say no, that should tell you that the first belief is not the sufficient condition to categorize someone as Christian, that there's more to the story. Your own hypothetical should be informative to you about why your definition of Islam is silly.
I don't think. Wait, you're trying to say that? Oh, well, they don't believe in the belief, but I just think that you're just always going to run into that. You're just always going to run into that problem at some point when it comes to like making a definition for like defining any religion. I don't know, like at what.
Remember,
Like,
we've been over
I
this.
don't know if I could. I don't know if I could ever give a definition that you wouldn't run into a problem like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just
we
generally
actually
can have,
touched on
like,
this
core
already.
Concepts. Huh?
Hey, host.
We
do you mind
touched on
if I
this.
do you mind if I ask this guy a question real quick?
Let me just wrap up the thing with the host.
Yeah,
We
Well,
we touched on this.
You're generally gonna have like core concepts of religion that you can like define, but then you can like ask absurd questions outside of that, and you're probably always gonna get them to say that. But there
I
is like a belief outside that.
I agree with you that there are core concepts. For example, Muhammad being a prophet is a core concept for Muslims. For example, Jesus dying for our sins is a core concept for Christians. What I'm presenting to you is that there are more core concepts that 100% of Muslims would agree to, or in your hypothetical, you have stumbled upon the realization that there were more core concepts that 100% of Christians would agree to. And this is the criticism I'm lobbing to you. You're ignoring other core
Okay,
concepts.
What other? Okay, let's.
I just
what
gave you
other-
an example.
What other core concepts do you think I could use to make the definition better?
I just gave you an example. Remember the question that I asked you that according to your definition, my question has an answer yes, and then I asked a Muslim on the panel and his answer was no.
So if I gave you like a different, let's say I gave you a modified definition, that Islam or somebody's Muslim, somebody believes that Muhammad is the final prophet who delivered the word of Allah, who generally holds to the teachings of the Quran, and believes that. Wait, what do you call it when you only believe in one God? What's the word for that?
Monotheism.
Monotheism. How would you
But,
feel about that definition?
I would point out that there's going to be bit by bit, there's going to be more, but I'm happy with that definition. The reason I
Okay.
brought up,
Okay, I think that definition works for my. That doesn't change my argument at all either. So
yeah, that's fine.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to say that you can hold to that definition. The thing that I'm pointing out to you is that if you believe that that is the only thing of Muslims that you're willing to vouch for, the only belief of theirs, which is that Muhammad's the final prophet, and he has a revelation of Allah. What is the meaningful content of this revelation of Allah? Well, as you've said in your definition, the only thing you're willing to vouch for is that is
I'm
monotheism.
not gonna be able to get. There's almost no revelation that I could point to that like 100%
Doesn't
of
have
Muslim
debate on it,
scholars are
right?
gonna
I agree. I
are
agree.
gonna agree on, which is
Of course,
outside of
that's the nature of
wait,
religion.
that's huh?
Of course, I agree with you. That's
Yeah,
the
so
nature of religion.
I'm
They
trying to
just
be
be
I'm
arguing
trying to
over
get an
anything.
that scholars aren't gonna like argue over like every like little
Right.
interpretation.
Now, imagine if I go to a Muslim and I say that, hey, the only thing that this host, what's your name, Scratch, believes is compatible with America is the belief that Muhammad's the final prophet and there's one God. The other parts of Islam, Scratch is not vouching for.
Wait, see, what
Okay,
is
wait,
your
that's not
issue?
that's obviously not the argument is that like that's the base. Like you can still believe in like I'm sure I would probably say you could probably believe in the majority of the things in like the Quran says, and still be compatible with American culture. There's just a couple verses that people probably like would say are like anti like Western.
I think there's one where like women are subservient to men, and that if you fear rebellion from your wife, just whack her. I don't know how much I would want to live in America where that's the predominant prevailing belief.
Could I
No,
respond
it's
to
not.
that?
It's in the
Can I
Quran.
respond to that? No. So the word says is a rub. That you talk about chapter 4, verses 4 verses 3-4, right? Ayat 3-4. And what it's saying is to run away. It doesn't say to hit. So you see, sir, you don't study Arabic. You don't even know what the word means.
It doesn't
No,
say.
it means
No,
to
it doesn't.
run away. I know that hadith, some people say, well, the hadith says it means to like tap with like just your like not
Mislack.
like a tap with your finger. But the actual word of dhrub for like Quranists like me who believe in it, the word dhrub, you can look this up in Arabic. It has two meanings. The meaning that we go by, right? It's an ambiguous interpretation. What we go by is to run away, to dhrub. So you should educate. This is what I'm saying. I don't think you actually read the Quran because you just sit here and hear what people say and then you repeat the talking point. That's why I asked you if you actually read the book. And it doesn't sound like you have. When I asked you to name me one Sharia law, you couldn't even name me a Sharia law. I asked you what Sharia law is.
Wait, you asked me what Sharia law was. You didn't
Yeah,
ask me
what
to
is
name
Sharia
one.
law? Yeah. So Sharia.
First of
So
all, Sharia law is like saying chai tea. I think you probably just mean Sharia. And one of them, for example, from the Hadith, is that if somebody leaves the fold of Islam, you end their life.
oh really? So what about chapter 2, verses 2, 5, 6 that literally goes against in the Quran?
Why are you asking me to apologize for your religion? I
No,
agree that
make
it's not
it a
consistent.
claim that's a
he's
Sharia
a
law.
Quranist, so he doesn't believe in the hadiths, so he doesn't care.
So you're and even
Yeah, I
Sunni
understand he is.
Muslims, even a lot of Sunni Muslims don't believe in it because that goes against the Quran. We and with the Sunni, you don't even understand the Sunni belief. This is my problem with people who don't read books and then speak on something
Instead of
religion they
grandstanding,
don't
just make your
know.
point, dude.
So you
I
so
think it makes sense what he's saying because the Quran is a more. I'm guessing
yeah.
the
It-
hadiths, the
it-
hadiths
the
are
reason-
like the second, third, and like up to fourth hand stories of like the teachings and practices of like Muhammad. So if anything would contradict, if the Quran was ever to contradict the hadiths, the Quran would obviously be the thing you would refer to.
Yeah, they're the final authority.
Yeah,
So
you
that-
might think it makes sense what he's saying. You run into a few problems, and you could just like swipe through TikTok and look at how some of these Quranists do in debates against Sunnis. They lose every time, and the reason
not
why
every time.
Okay,
So you
He said
don't
not
want,
every
this is
time.
why I'm saying
Sometimes
you don't want to. So you're
sometimes they
so why don't
draw
you
it out.
debate
I
it
really don't
yourself?
care. I really don't care. Like all I know
I'm,
is that
I'm just giving you a piece
So
of lore.
Amsi, why
These
don't you
Quranists
debate
get
it?
dog
Sorry,
walked by
You
Sunnis.
talked
sorry
about
to get back.
hadith.
Sorry to get back onto the point that I was making. So you think that's definition's okay?
I think that definition is okay with me. It's going to be unsatisfactory to most Muslims. And I think the reason I mentioned this.
I don't think when you say unsatisfactory to most Muslims, I think we mean is that if you were to point out a flaw with it, then it'd be unsatisfactory. But I think that's just most definitions.
So
Like,
Jose,
like
I just
Christian,
want.
like the Christian thing, like the Christian definition I gave you. Like most people would say, "Oh, that definition satisfies me initially," but like maybe it might
Yeah,
be
I agree.
unsatisfactory
And this
if you
and
point out things. But I feel like that's just for every definition. Every definition's like that. It's just going to be unsatisfactory.
which is why I think that we should, instead of trying to run away from the fuzziness of words and of definitions, I think we should instead bake the fuzziness of concepts into our assessment, which is why I told you that we should look at what Muslim people believe instead of trying to find some minimal satisfactory definition of Islam and then hope to God that that minimum satisfactory definition of Islam it satisfies 100% of Muslim. I agree with you. I think that's misguided. Instead, shouldn't you be interested in what most Muslims around the world would want to do
I
to
know what
apostates?
Muslim people in the United States
Most
want to do when they come here.
wait,
Like,
what's your? So are
kinda
you
like
making a
Arabs.
claim? Wait, are
Like,
you
when
making a
somebody,
claim?
like, okay, here's the problem. When
Yeah.
somebody says Muslims aren't compatible with the United States, or Islam is not compatible with the United States, what are they saying? They're saying that I think that when Muslims come into the country, that those beliefs that these people aren't going to assimilate, and then those beliefs are going to negatively affect the United States. That's ultimately that's the entire
No,
point.
no,
of
no, no,
Muslim
no,
belief.
no, no, no. That first part you said, in my humble opinion, that first part you said about the whole assimilate thing, that is a Trojan horse. When people
We
say that
we
Islam,
don't think. Wait, what?
when people,
Okay, what would be the motivation behind like making a prompt that says Islam isn't compatible with the United States?
I don't know why you're asking me to read your mind.
I'm not asking you. I'm just saying like these debates are obviously like within the context.
That's fine. That's fine. The reason I said it's a Trojan horse is because if you need Islam to assimilate with the West before you're willing to say Islam is compatible, then what I'm trying to point out to you is that almost 100% of Muslims would not be happy with what you just said.
So Omar, so
I
host,
would
you mind if I
actually-
give
I
a
would-
definition
I would
of Islam?
I would disagree that almost 100% of Muslims would disagree.
So
with what you just said.
Yeah,
don't
maybe
know
we could
where
test it
we
with
get
this
that.
Muslim. We could test it with this Muslim, right? Hey,
Well,
do
no,
you?
I'm not. Wait, hold on. You haven't answered my question, so it's not fair. That I want you to answer my question. You made a claim
What was your
about the
question?
hadith. Sorry, I got a call. You didn't want to answer my question.
Wait,
and
what
it's
question?
only
What
for you
question
to
did I
answer
say?
mine, and I'll answer yours.
Okay, wait.
So
just
you're saying,
just give me a second, Prince. Right?
yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I would just like the context of these debates is always right when you're saying Islam is compatible or Islam isn't compatible with the United States. People are like trying to fearmonger about like Muslims coming to the country and then not assimilating. Do you disagree with that? Like that's the context of like almost all these debates.
I think specifically, it's not just assimilating for the sake of assimilating. It's that there are some of the beliefs that they hold that even if they assimilate, they'll hold some of these beliefs that are dangerous to us.
Okay, I just like what beliefs?
Like, for example, do you believe that? Do you think? Or we can ask this Muslim, but he's not going to answer. He wants me to answer some question. I don't know which one. But most Muslims would not be happy with you saying that you want a version of Islam that is LGBTQ friendly.
Okay.
Where does it say? Where does it say in the Quran?
I don't really.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So can I answer?
like,
Then can you answer my
doesn't really
question?
answer my question. Like that doesn't really address my point because the point I'm making is that whenever somebody says Islam is or is not compatible with the United States, what they're kind of saying is like I don't believe that like Muslim immigrants can or cannot exist within like the culture or the context of like a United States society, right?
I think the word exists there is the Trojan horse. I keep trying to find these Trojan horses because I believe that when you say that, the people against your prompt believe that Muslims cannot, quote unquote, exist within American society, what you're essentially suggesting is that they Americanize their beliefs itself.
They do.
But if they're Americanizing their
Westernized.
beliefs, that, sure. I say Americanize because you were disambiguating earlier between America and UK, but let's say Westernized.
Oh, like
If you-
because like there's like Muslim populations in the Balkans which have been Westernized for a while now, so it's kind
Yeah, I get it.
whatever.
I get it.
Anyways.
So let's say, what word did you want to use? Westernized? So you're saying Islam is compatible with America as long as those Muslims Westernize their beliefs.
Yes.
And my point since the beginning of this conversation is that bypasses the entire conversation, because the issue at hand is if there are Islamic ideas that are hospitable to Westernization fundamentally. So I don't know how much you want to get into the history
But
of this.
I would just.
Okay.
You're gonna say fundamentally, but I'm never gonna agree to a definition where there's like a specific thing in the Quran or specific thing in the Hadiths that's like 100%. Like, there's never gonna be something. I don't think there could ever be belief. I don't think at any point of that there isn't like some disagreement of like a Muslim scholar on that people would say like this isn't compatible.
I don't think that's the issue, though. I agree with you. I agree with you that everyone's going to disagree on everything.
If a Muslim didn't believe in that, we would still probably call them Muslim. Even most Muslims might.
Yeah. So to be clear, what you're saying is that you aren't willing to put any belief when you're talking about the word Islam, because, as you've correctly pointed out, these religious people, they be arguing about anything. That's how they spend their
That for
time.
any
It is what it
religion.
is. For any religion. That's why I said these religious people. You don't have to generalize when I already generalized.
Right.
So people in general argue about everything. But if that leads you to saying you have no actual definition of Islam other than something so watered down that it's unrecognizable to most Muslims, then I think you're conceding the point, because the only way that you can say Islam is compatible with America is if Islam doesn't have all the markers of Islam that we find in it.
Well, no, right? Because I gave I said like somebody who generally holds to the practices of the Quran, and believes that Muhammad's final prophet, who lived in Iran, believes in monotheism, right? I think that
First of
person.
all,
I think somebody like that.
I can run the same experiment. You want me to take your definition and show you a question that leads you to say
We
yes?
do that. We already agreed to do this for any definition.
Wait,
Just,
Scratch. Can I ask? Can I?
that's
Can I just
irrelevant.
add on?
That's exactly what I'm
Scratch?
talking about.
You said the problem is you said that like, oh, any definition. My definition isn't holding down any belief. The definition gives like general beliefs, but any of the beliefs that I pointed out, like in that definition, like somebody who believes in Muhammad's prophet doesn't inherently mean that doesn't inherently mean that they're anti-West, or somebody generally holding to the practices of the Quran doesn't inherently mean that they're gonna have have fundamental beliefs against Western culture. So it's not that there aren't beliefs that they don't hold that I'm not like putting a definition. It's just that the definition does allow for that wiggle room and the fuzziness, right? So
No, I agree with you there. And this is why I think you might find it entertaining just on your own time to look at how these Quranists actually do in debates against Sunnis.
So look how
And
he doesn't want to answer my question. So
I
Oman.
actually don't remember your question. What was your
Yeah.
question?
So you talked about, because your big thing is the apostate. So you're sitting here acting like you're educated on the Islam and the Quran and the Hadith. So I'm asking you, since somebody who's claims to be educated, I'm asking you, would you agree that there's hadiths that contradict the Quran? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think there's parts of the Quran that are
Okay,
inconsistent too.
I'm sorry, what?
I think there's parts of the Quran that are inconsistent too.
Well, that's a different argument. So
No, I'm just taking out my position.
Hold on. So Oman. So do you understand that Muslims, right? The 99.9% of Muslims believe that the Quran overrides the Hadith. Yes or no?
Sure.
Great. So
I actually don't know that for sure.
Yeah, that is the case. Ask any Muslim. Go around and ask. Most Muslims will tell you anybody that says that the Hadith overrides the Quran is not a Muslim. Doesn't really follow the faith.
No,
Because
that's not the dichotomy.
that is not the case, because the Quran absolutely overrides the Hadith.
That's not the dichotomy, by the way. When I say that, so I believe that most Sunnis you go to will say that Sahih Hadiths literally do not.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked. You said there's most Sunnis that will believe that the Hadith overrides the Quran.
The Sahih Hadiths do not contradict the Quran. You got to listen to what
That's
I'm saying.
not the argument, though. That's not the argument. My argument is, would you agree that Sunnis, majority of Sunnis, I haven't met any that doesn't agree that that the Quran say the ones that do believe in that the Hadith contradict the Quran. Do you agree that majority of those Sunni Muslims agree that the Quran overrides the Hadith? Yes or no?
So your question was, of the Muslims that believe the Hadiths contradict the Quran, do those Muslims believe the Hadiths override the Quran? No, of course not.
Okay, great. They believe that the Quran overrides the Hadith, right?
Yeah, if they believe that there's a contradiction between Sahih Hadiths and the Quran, they're already taking a position.
That if you went up to the average student and ask, okay, if there is a contradiction, like hypothetically, between the Hadiths and the Quran, which like practice would you follow, or which one would you like say is which one would like override the other one?
Yeah, I would hope all Muslims would say it's the Quran. Yeah, otherwise it'd be silly.
So okay. So now that do you know what no compulsion means?
It means you can't compel people.
You can't force your religion. You're right. So, which is synonymous for you can't force your religion onto people. So if unaliving a apostle, is that going against chapter 2 verses 2, 5, 6? in the Quran?
Two things. One, I'm not a Muslim. I don't know why you're asking me.
No,
if they
answer the
contradict.
question.
But number
Don't pivot.
two,
Answer the question.
I'm not pivoting. I'm answering you directly. And number two, I don't know because
you don't know how to use you don't know how to use logic and understand that how that would clearly contradict the Quran. So if the Quran says you cannot force your religion onto somebody, and somebody goes and alive somebody for leaving that's, I don't even think that's necessarily, it says if you betray, like if you go in military, but say I grant that's what the hadith says, right? It says to unalive somebody if you leave the Quran. Wouldn't you say that's forcing your religion onto people?
I don't know. I mean,
You don't know?
as a non-Muslim, I would say yes. But as a Muslim,
okay, great.
most Muslims
Now
would not
that you
accept
use
it.
logic and reasoning, right? So since that is forcing your religion on somebody, and you agree that if you go to most Muslims, right, and you ask them, hey, if there's a contradiction in the hadith in the Quran, which one do they follow, the Quran and the hadith? They would say the Quran. Wouldn't you say, by being somebody who's using logic, that would contradict the Quran as a non-Muslim?
Okay, I'm gonna try to answer you. I need you to not interrupt me.
Then answer the question directly. I don't like people who try to not answer the question.
I'm answering you directly. It's just
Thank you.
a few parts you lose focus. So lock in, okay?
No, it's very simple.
As a
Just answer the
non-Muslim,
freaking question.
I'm answering. I need you to calm down. So
I need you logic and reasoning.
Again, I'm speaking. So when, from a non-Muslim perspective, you ask, oh, apply logic to Quranic beliefs. Obviously, the Quran overrides the Hadith. And then if you ask me to presuppose that there is something in the Hadith that contradicts something in the Quran, then the Quran should take precedent. But that is from a non-Muslim perspective. And from
That's
my
not the
non-Muslim
point.
perspective,
That's not the point. You're saying people
one
follow.
second. You said you would let me
didn't
answer.
even answer the question.
You-
So again, I'm going
you
to
said
guide
you
you
let me
back to the
answer.
question. No, I'm going to guide you
I'm
back
in the
to the
middle
question
of- I'm in the
because
middle of my
you were
answer.
sitting here talking about earlier. Oh, from a non-Muslim, these Quranists get cooked all the time. So I'm asking you,
I mean, you
since
guys do
say
get
you watch
cooked all the time,
Quranists
right?
versus Hadith debates, I'm asking you a very simple question. You bring up apostles, right? I'm asking you logically, if you use logic and reasoning, because it applies to non-Muslims too, right? Do you think that if you unalive somebody if they leave the religion, is that not forcing your religion onto somebody? Yes or no? Because in the Quran it talks about using logic too.
First of all, it's apostate, not apostle. And second of all, in my
Apostate,
belief,
yeah, I
of
misspoke.
course, that's forcing your religion on somebody.
Great.
I'm not a Muslim.
So by logic, would you say that is a contradiction to the Quran?
I think the Quran is self-contradictory. Of
I'm
course, it
asking
contradicts
you-
the Quran.
Yeah.
Go-
You're trying to say that you're not a Muslim, but you're also trying to say that, like, I don't know if you're trying to say that fundamentally you think Islam contradicts Western values.
No, he didn't let me finish.
No,
a
I
single
want him
sentence.
to host. I want him to answer the question because this is what these Muslim haters do. They never want to answer direct questions.
Well,
I
dude,
asked you a very simple
Prince,
question.
Just rhetorically, you got your point across. You want to answer the question. You can just,
Thank you,
say
host.
that- Just say take that as a concession.
Yeah, concession. Thank you, W. I appreciate you having me on, host.
No problem.
Thank you,
Prince.
bro.
I'll DM you later.
Wait, one sec. I got a call. One sec. I'll be right back.
What's up, man?
What's up?
Do you disagree with the prompt?
Of course,
Yeah, why is that?
because it doesn't fit in with the United States.
Why is that?
Because the United States is a constitutional republic,
Yo, I'm back. Where'd he go?
and it was
he had
built
to
by
leave.
our founding fathers for Christians.
Yeah, we'll get back to our conversation. So, Cam, would you like take a definition of like Islam or Muslim to be somebody who believes that Muhammad is the final prophet, who believes in the word of Allah, who generally holds to the practices the teachings of the Quran, and is monotheistic?
I would say that's a definition, sure.
Cool, man. It would seem that there are like Muslims around the world who have already been able to live in Western-style governments. And there's the Muslims here currently like assimilating to that. I think those people fall under that definition of being Islam. So, therefore, I think Islam is compatible with the United States.
No, when you talk about Muslims, are you talking about all Muslims, or like majority of the Muslims, or like what percent of Muslims? Like
When
what
I
kind of
say that
Muslims?
Muslims or Islam is compatible, I'm talking about like the people when they come into the United States. Are they going to be compatible with like the Western ideals, right? So
I would
I'll
say
say
it
yes.
depends on the Muslims because you don't have to be Muslim to practice the Quran and stuff. I would say it's more about the religion and the Sharia law and all that.
How is that
Wait, can we
inconsistent?
can we
I
real
was
quick get back to
the only thing I said when I say when I say Islam is compatible with the United States, we're talking about like when Muslims or people who practice Islam come to the United States, they can be compatible with U.S. culture,
I don't think it's compatible
and they
now.
are.
What?
Okay.
Why do you think they are?
Because when I look at the data from like Pew Research Institute, like Cato, like beliefs of Muslims around homosexuality, like women's rights, or in democracy,
And that's what Cato says.
they consistently over time believe in those things more and more, and to the point where like I think Muslims in the United States, people who identify are slightly more accepting of like homosexuality than like evangelical Christians are.
So you wouldn't say that there's a bunch of churches in the United States that are Christian churches, but they openly accept gay people to come in and join with them?
There are, yeah, I mentioned
You
a
wouldn't
few
say
times.
that. Okay. So you wouldn't say that all Christians are like that. So I wouldn't
No, I
say
know.
that all Muslims are like that either.
Yeah, I don't know how that addresses what I just said.
Cause okay. Can you repeat your point again so I can give you a better answer?
Yeah, I'm just saying that when they come into the United States, they assimilate to like our beliefs. And then I just gave you the data by Cato Institute on like
Because you
Muslims'
said
beliefs
that they
about
support
homosexuality.
LGBTQ and they support women more.
Yep, in
Why do you think
democracy.
that they support women more?
Because most immigrants move into like cities, and cities tend to be more liberal, and because they're around more liberal people, they just change their beliefs to the culture.
Yeah, so what about in Texas where it's a red state? They're not really that liberal there. So what about them?
Most immigrants move into liberal cities in Texas, like Houston's a liberal city.
Yeah, but we're not really talking about the immigrants. We're talking about like the Muslims that are coming over here.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Muslims. The Muslims move into cities because they're all immigrants.
Okay. Okay.
Like Somalis live in like what Minneapolis because most immigrants move into cities, and Somalians are disproportionately Muslim.
Gotcha. Okay.
host? Do you want to? I don't know where the other Muslim guy went, but I could talk you through why it was a silly point he made. So he asked me if I think it's a contradiction between the Quran saying there is no compulsion in religion versus the hadiths, the Sahih hadiths of the Sunnis, saying that if you're an apostate, it's gotta be game over for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so first of all, you must accept that the word compulsion is also up to interpretation, right? Because as you said, all words are. So you can't suddenly close your eyes and believe that some words have a concrete definition.
I think he was
Great.
arguing that like his version of like his beliefs and like Islam are compatible with yours.
No, he was arguing
How
beyond
wrong.
that. No, he was
Well,
arguing beyond the Quranist. He was saying that even if you're not a Quranist, you have to at face value accept that the Hadith contradicts the Quran. And I was surprised that you thought that that was a good point to make because
At
you
face,
should
I
have
don't think
pointed
he was
out.
saying. I don't know if he was saying at face value. I think he was just saying by his interpretation.
No, he was saying that he was saying that that is the interpretation because me being non-Muslim doesn't matter. The only way me being non-Muslim doesn't
Why wouldn't
matter.
he say that? He said that like that is his view of like the Quran and these. I don't think that was saying that was like the only interpretation. Obviously,
I don't know whose
I'm
echo this is.
I'm
Is
guessing
it
if I
my
asked,
echo?
I'm guessing if I went up and asked, if I guess if I like DM'd him later, I asked him, do you believe that like Sunnis think like scholars think the hadiths that they believe in and the Quran contradicts each other? He'd say like, no, they don't.
Yeah, but if you asked him, are they misinterpreting it? He would say yes.
Yeah, that's what any Muslim would say about any other Muslim who has
Yes, but
beliefs.
he believes that there is a correct like there is a
That's what every
non-subjective
religious
correct.
person believes. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Okay. Of course, you can argue
Okay,
that.
sure. In which case, you accept that the majority of Muslims do not agree with him that it's a contradiction, correct? Like the Sunnis wouldn't.
Yeah.
Great. In which case, going back to our conversation, trying to find a non-subjective definition of any word is pointless. Therefore, trying to find a non-subjective definition of Islam is pointless. Therefore, we should be looking at what is the popular belief among the Muslims. Is that correct? Does that seem reasonable to you?
That's actually wait, I want to ask you a quick question. It's absurd. If I took like I don't know the average Christian today, I put them with you, and I teleported you guys back like 300. I don't know. Let's say, like to I don't know 200 years ago or 300 years ago. Would you then say that that person isn't Christian anymore? Basically.
I wait. The person that came with me time traveled to 300 years ago.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't really matter to me if he is or isn't Christian. I'm not. To be clear, I'm not. I'm not trying to
obviously
takfir
you would say
Muslims.
that person isn't Christian anymore because he doesn't have the popular beliefs, correct?
No, I'm not saying that the Muslims who don't hold a popular belief aren't Muslim. I'm not takfiring people, to be clear. I'm saying that when you make a claim like Islam is compatible, I think that it's more reasonable for you to look at what is the popular belief of Muslims rather than trying to find a niche belief.
But when I say Islam is compatible with the United States, I'm just saying that people can come in and people come into the United States and then have a view of Islam or change their view of Islam to be compatible.
Okay, yeah, that last sentence you just said,
Yeah.
that last sentence you just said would not fly with most of the Muslims
But
that
that's
are
what I mean
agreeing
by
with you on
Islam
this.
is compatible, as in that in that sense, Islam is compatible with the United States.
Okay, yeah. In which case we agree. This is at the beginning of our conversation. I pointed out that you're saying Islam needs to change. That all of these people's ideas of Islam. That is the only reasonable definition we can have of the word Islam. That needs to change in order for it to be compatible with the United States. In which case we're on the same team. We're not disagreeing. I just think that
I don't think it's literally Islam itself changing. I think it's just
there is no
different
Islam itself.
Muslims
Remember, we've been over this.
Okay, I just think they're just changing their beliefs.
Exactly, which is Islam. Remember, we defined Islam as the culmination of different beliefs that people hold because the subjectivity of our conception of things is baked in. I said I accept the Wittgensteinian notion that there is no chair in and of itself.
So you're saying that what we define as Islam in itself is what the majority of Muslims believe, correct?
Not majority. It's a plurality. We can talk about all of the different beliefs of Muslims, and we can accept that one of those beliefs is a significant majority. I would say 85%, I think, is what the other Muslims said about Sunnis. And Shias make up, I think, another 10%.
So you're saying what you define as Islam is what the overwhelming majority of Muslims believe?
To be clear, I believe that all of the beliefs of Muslims associated to Islam can be talked about as the word Islam. I think that I've said this a few times. I think trying to find an essential
Islam changing, I just think it's Muslims changing their viewpoints to a different version of Islam, because the version of Islam that I'm talking about kind of already existed in like Kosovo and like Albania. That just
so and for my curiosity, this version of Islam that you think is compatible is like a Quranist version.
It doesn't have to be. You can just have like a very like Sunni light version where you think like Muhammad isn't infallible, but I think it's generally Quranists are probably like more like able to assimilate with the West. Like,
gotcha.
I was in the car earlier. I was trying to find Sunnis who like are like Westernized. There's like a forum like for like progressive Islam, and a lot of them just were saying, yeah, I believe in like the Quran and the Hadith, but I take them more as like a not literal. I don't think they're like literally like. I take them super literally. I think them as like general guidelines for my life.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just call like Sunni light,
Yeah, whatever we call it. I think you would be interested in seeing how some of these people debate other Muslims. Just to see, not to see if they're right or wrong, because that's irrelevant. I think we both agree definitions are fuzzy, but to see how the majority of Muslims see these progressive.
I don't think they see them in the light. Yeah.
And there's a specific word there in English. The word is innovation. That they are going through their texts and they're speaking over their prophet and they're speaking over their God to create a liberalized version of Islam, and that is. Yeah, in which case, and you might be interested in
believe the exact same thing about most other Christians.
Again, the point isn't that some people are opposed to it. The point is that if you're as long as you concede or not concede, as long as you accept that when you say Islam is compatible with the West, you are talking about what you described as either Quranist or Sunni light. And but your definition of Sunni light
It
is
could
they
also be
are
like Mundami is like Shialite.
sure.
Yeah,
As
like
long as they are non-literalizing a whole bunch of that stuff that they currently do not non-literalize, and as long as the parts of the Quran that are inhospitable to liberality, they are non-literalizing the shit out of that too. Like the Muslim guy in this conversation, he
well,
said
I don't
that
think that his belief isn't that he doesn't non-literalize it. He just thinks that like the majority of this stuff that's like anti-West is just kind of wrong. Like he thinks it's like just most of it's in the hadiths and it contradicts the Quran. He
no,
doesn't
the
really
example that I gave about
doesn't see
wife
the
beating,
connection.
he interpreted that Arabic word as running away from your wife, which it's a very common Islamic apologetic. I think you'd have a fun time just looking
Oh,
into it.
I don't know.
It's one I can read you the verse, or I can read you the if you fear you might it's something about if you fear rebellion from your wives.
Well, to be
Um,
honest, fuck, I don't know
what's that?
Arabic, so I'm gonna trust him more. This is nothing about you, bro, but he probably does.
You should probably trust the early Islamic scholars more than Quranist who
I don't
is
know
trying
what
to.
the early Islamic scholars say on this. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
anything.
it's available online. So if you ever want to go to like sunnah.com, you could see on a given verse, you could see a bunch of early Islamic scholars that are commentating on the verse. So it might be interesting to you to see why would it be the case that a bunch of Muslim scholars that were near the time of their prophet, why would they all disagree with this one dude
To
over
be
here
honest,
white
it
bashing
might
Islam?
be the correct interpretation to not take the Quran literally if you know the history of how the Quran developed. Because from basically my understanding, it was not even for most of Muhammad's life, the Quran wasn't even like a written thing. People, and even after he lived, it was just after he died, it was just something that was passed down like verbally. The point is like to memorize it, and it was only when he died people were like, oh shit, we should write this down, and they burned a whole bunch of the versions of the Quran, and then they like there's one version that they had, and then they got like copies of copies of copies of copies of copies of copies
Yep.
of copies of that. So
There was parts of that. There was
it
parts of
might
the
be the
final
correct
version
it
that
might
got.
be the correct interpretation to say that things should be taken non-literally.
Sure. In which case, to
I
be
don't know. There
clear,
might be a more correct interpretation.
listen. You're preaching to the choir. If you tell me that Muslims should not take the Quran literally, preach it from the rooftops. But to be clear, now you're saying that Islam is compatible with the United States, and your definition of Islam is an Islam that doesn't take the Quran literally, that doesn't think that it's the
Either doesn't
preserved,
take the Quran
perfect word of
literally,
God.
or the things in the Quran that like contradict like Western values. They would just like I don't know. They believe that
Yeah, that's
they believe
tautological, though,
that those
right?
they believe that those things like
Yeah, but then that's a trivial statement that you've just made. You said that Islam is compatible with the West if the parts of Islam that aren't compatible with the West are not interpreted the way that they would be
well, there's a
non-compatible with
difference
the
between
West.
somebody taking the Quran non-literally and then somebody saying I take the Quran literally, but I think all the parts of the in it that are like anti-Western are just like added in.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, these are all good bits that you should test against actual Muslims to see if they think that. Do you think the Quran is full of interpolations? I think they'd be very happy with that
I
one.
think so. I think that's true for
Of
like
course, I do
many
too, dude.
religions.
You don't need to preach to me, man. There's parts in the Quran where he has a S slave, and his wives get angry at him for having the S slave, and his wives demand that he not sleep with the S slave anymore. And to appease his wives, he says, "Fine, I won't sleep with them." He lasts for one day before bro says, "Allah revealed, why do you make haram what Allah has made halal to you?
Right.
Go
How can you support that?
Go F that S slave, Muhammad. Allah was his wingman, dude. It's like Elmo, any other sock puppet. But you don't need to tell that to me. I'm in agreement with you. But I just think that at this point, the word Islam that you're using it is in such a different way than Muslims would use that word. And
I think
if yeah, what's up?
if I was to try and give a definition for like what is a Christian over the last 400 years or what is a Muslim over the last 500 years, you'd have to use like broad definitions like I give. I probably just say that. And in none of those, because the problem is I think this religion is always changing significantly just based on the cultural viewpoints of the day.
Yeah, I agree. And if ultimately your position is that if what happens to Christianity over 400 years happens to Islam, then the version of Islam at the end of that toilet when it comes out, that is the Islam that you think is compatible with
The
the
Islam that's
West.
being built right now in the U.S. Yeah.
Sure, it's in a let's hope that the people that are, you know, liberalizing and reinterpreting and like Americanizing the Quran. If obviously, that's what I mean when I say that you haven't said anything. You're saying an Americanized version of the Quran that doesn't go against American values is compatible with America. Well, then, duh, yeah, you've bypassed the entire discussion.
But the question is whether that's actually happening, right? That's the big contention.
No, I don't think that's a question. I think the question is whether those
Well, no,
people are
yeah, when
winning.
people come up and be like, "Oh, Dearborn, Michigan," and also I saw Sneeko at a protest in New York. So like, look, they're trying to implement Sharia law.
What did I heard? The last I heard about Dearborn was actually you might want debaters, so I'll come down. But the last thing I was curious about was what is the latest on Dearborn? Didn't they like get super conservative and backstab a bunch of LGBT people?
I actually have no idea, bro. I don't look into. I really hate when people like take cultural enclaves of one group and then say the entire group isn't assimilating. That shit always annoys the fuck out of me.
That's true. That's
I feel like
fine.
it'd be like taking cultural enclaves of Germans like back in the, I don't know, early 19th century and then saying they aren't assimilating. Like yeah, it's probably just not like a good way to look at shit. Once again, it's fear mongering. Most people, I think the average person's interaction with a Muslim these days is scrolling on Twitter, or like conservatives' interaction with Muslims scrolling on Twitter and like seeing a video.
My average interaction is them calling me a Jeet, getting angry at me when I'm on a TikTok live.
You did not live in a diverse place because I interacted with plenty of Muslims in like real life, and none of them.
No, I meant online. In real life, they don't.
Online?
Everyone's chill.
Oh,
Yeah.
in real life, they're always chill. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience with a Muslim in real life.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I generally don't have bad experiences with people in general. Most people are just chill, going about their
But I
day.
think that's just true for most Western countries. So you're probably not gonna get like. You know
Yeah.
what? They're annoying people. Christians are fucking annoying as hell. Okay, I don't see Muslims like out here preaching about abortion every day. But we have like a Christian group. Literally, I saw it like literally every day on my college campus. They're always at the corner. And they always have a little abortion cart out, and they're always like.
You know what else
attacking
is
people.
annoying? A bunch of movies being made mocking the Christian religion.
Who gives
Everybody
a fuck,
and
bro?
their religion, everybody's mocking the Christian religion. Why don't we mock their religion? Nobody's
movie?
Yeah,
doing
we should.
that.
Honest, look, good point. Yeah, we should.
Which movie?
Like, right? Like, why are we only mocking the
Which
Christian
movie?
religion? I heard there was a movie probably like 4 months ago. They made a movie about like Jesus or something, and they like tortured him or something. I don't even know. It was like a horror movie.
Are you talking about the Passion of the Christ?
Yeah, I think so.
No, dude, that was more than 4 months ago, and that was a very Christian movie.
Or yeah, I don't know, but there's like a Christian movie where people
I
are
do
saying
thi-
that they
I
were
do think there
mocking
is
God.
I do think there is a problem in the United States where, it's because I think this is basically what happened. After 9/11, people were super Islamophobic. As a reaction to that, a lot of people who were like more liberal got like very stingy about people attacking Muslims at all or making fun of them and just saw it as Islamophobic automatically, right? So I do think there is kind of like a stinginess towards like being mean towards people who believe in Islam.
Oh, I don't think that started at 9/11. I think that there is a long history of leftist politics aligning with Islamism, political Islamism, not just like the friendly neighbor. Like if you've heard the term Islamo-Gauchism, or if you've seen
No, because the people who will get mad at you for criticizing Muslims at all are like SJWs, and those people are part of like woke too, which is tangentially related to like the like Marxist Leninists, but oftentimes those people have like very different beliefs.
Oh, that Venn diagram is almost a circle, right? Like the nowadays the super SJW ultra woke, they will always describe themselves as anti-capitalist. They want they're
Nowadays, I'm
socialist
saying
or
like
Marxist.
the 2016, not even 2016, but the post 9/11 reaction by like those kinds of people who would identify themselves politically as liberals, but be very like the woke one. You know what woke one is versus woke two.
Yeah, that's true. I think post 9/11, I think all liberals tried to play defense because I mean crazy stuff was happening to
But
Muslims.
I think that was a valid, but I think like we overreacted to a certain point because there was legit like Islamophobia. There's like Hindu Indians getting like discriminated against.
Yeah. My
By the way,
dad
I
had
feel like
to
yeah.
my dad had to like change his appearance to look less Muslim, to not get like a brick thrown at his head on his way to work.
Because a lot of Hindus like wear turbans too. So
Yeah. Anyway, I think otherwise this was just it seems like a nitpicky point, but the whole words and definitions thing, but I think we're
no,
generally on the same
it's
page.
fine. It's actually really important to the conversation because like every single time I argue these people, maybe I took it too broad of a definition because when I argue these people, they take like the most narrow definition they possibly can to try and like say like the one true version of Islam is when like every Muslim is out there like raping 5 kids every day.
Hey, it's a good old Arabian party. I'm sorry, that was mean.
But also, by the way, conservatives like when conservatives are being like Islamophobic, it's just never funny either. They're like Durka, like that's been the same joke since like 2007, bro.
Yeah,
It's been the
that's
same
true.
joke since 2001. Like we can make better jokes.
That's true. I think a lot of conservatives are. It's funny when I see conservatives criticize Islam because if you read off a bunch of Islamic beliefs, the conservative will be like, "Yeah, America, I hate the gays."
Actually, that's a good. That's once again like conservatives are more closely aligned with like Muslims coming in than like the average like liberal who lives in like a big city, and that is just kind of
That's
true.
sad.
Okay, there's a reason the most Christian parts of this country are the places where it's okay to do child marriage. You're saying.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll let you deal with others. Good talking to you.
No. I already. Cam's done and Claire's are friendly. I don't have any other debate, and YouTube chat's being dumb again. So.
Oh, you're actively streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, I have like 41 viewers right now.
Nice.
Speaking of like the content, please like and subscribe, and also join the Discord if you want to debate.
All right, I'm headed down. Thanks for talking.
Okay, same.
Later.
Hey, Scratch.
I'm gonna go on YouTube, bring somebody on YouTube real quick. So I'm gonna kick everybody.
Okay.
You can join. Are you in my Discord server?
I don't think so.
Join. It's in my link tree, which is in like any. You can find it. My link tree on every single social media. Just join my Discord, and you can join like my stream. Hi Tyler, what's up, bro? What's up, bro?
So first off, I did want to bring up that panel you were in last night before we got started. Fantastic. Everyone's super good faith. I don't know if you stuck around and watched it, but if you do, I can get you on some Gibbs panels. It's not going to be exactly the same. People are a little more reckless on those, but I can throw you in there. You just give me the word.
Yeah, it works for me, man.
Yeah, you'll get a little more talking time. If you watched the DMZ last night, the fucking person that debates last, which was me, has to sit there for like 2.5 hours and just watch everyone else debate. It's kind of the only downside of it.
On a Gibbs panel, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know
But,
if Gibbs has an audience, bro, but whatever. Oh.
He gets like 40 people live.
I have 40 people, bro, right now.
That's an all right audience. It's okay, you know. And I don't know. But what are you mad at Trump about today?
We're not talking about Trump, actually. We're talking about Islam being compatible with the United States.
Oh, I mean, extreme Christianity. Like, if you look at the Rwanda-Congo civil war over the last 40 years, where 30 million people have died, with militant Muslim and Christian groups fighting each other, it's more a regional problem where you see like Western Africa and the Middle East have these extremists. But then you look at Indonesia and Muslims there are absolutely compatible with the United States. They come and go all the time.
How are you fucking mega, bro? You're actually...
I'm not. I'm a Clinton Democrat.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, so like it's regional problem. I have in-laws from Turkey.
Oof, dude. You are...
I just prefer Trump to the Democrats right now.
The people you hang out with, it must be like tired, because that's not very intellectually stimulating, dude. Not gonna lie.
No, we all just like the people I hang out with online. We hang out because we get along and have fun, and then we just go happen to debate after that. Like like after we're doing the live event next weekend in Dallas, and then after that we're all gonna go out drinking and partying. Like there's more to it than just fucking
I'm on
argument.
TikTok right now, so you need to like use the TikTok bullshit.
I don't know the TikTok TOS.
Actually, I'm just gonna end this live on TikTok.
What can I say?
Don't worry, I just ended TikTok live. I had like
Alright.
6 people anyways. It died down a lot.
I've never been on it, so I don't know.
Don't worry. Yeah, don't worry. Don't use the TikTok shit. Anyways.
Yeah, we're gonna go out
I guess
partying after and stuff. So
relating to Trump. They don't have perms. Yeah, you don't have perms. You have to sit in the waiting room, Claire.
bring your friends up. I don't mind.
No, she doesn't know how to.
Oh.
No, yeah. So, the main thing about Trump I've been talking about recently, other than the Iran stuff, is just like the slush fund, like the entire lawsuit surrounding that. I think it's really corrupt.
The 1.6 billion that was supposed to go to like
slush fund, yeah.
Yeah, that ended up getting like Trump voiced it. I understand his logic. I don't like that he was suing himself, but I understand, hey, I was aggrieved. I want to sue the government for this aggrievement. Okay, that's perfectly fine. But then to turn around and take that money and donate it, also perfectly fine. It's the fact that he was donating it to basically what it would have essentially been. Here's for everybody on my side Democrats go after.
To me, it's the fact that he like sued the government on a suit he would have lost if he had let the IRS litigate it. But he like forced them to settle.
I don't know the details of it or law enough to say that,
okay,
but
I'll just, if you want, I can give you the statutes. If you want. Basically, the statute of limitations on the thing grievance he's talking about is 2 years from the time you discover the violation. Trump has known about it since at least, let's say, earliest October 2023 when he talked about Charles Littlejohn leaking his taxes. Latest was like what? No. It would have been like 2 months after that when his lawyer on behalf of him was argued at the plea hearing of Charles Littlejohn. And so that would be about 3 years past the statute of limitations, which means that it would have been thrown out on that if the IRS had been able to litigate it.
that's what I'm actually seeing here, and I fact check it. So yeah, that may have been a viable argument.
So yeah, it's pretty. I think it's corrupt to sue. It's basically pretty corrupt to sue yourself or the government, knowing while you're in control of it, knowing that you're going to lose the suit if you allow them to litigate it, but then force them to settle so that you can get like a sweet deal where you get like to not only politically benefit because you're trying to, avenge these J6ers or whatever, but also personally benefit because the IRS can't like audit you on any of your taxes, at any of your tax filings from the point onwards.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have been easily.
It's the past tax filings. The IRS can never audit him on any of his past tax filings since the settlement.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to hold up legally in any way, shape, or form. It's not like he has like the ability to break down his pardon power and give parts of it to other factors of his life, unless he's like going to fully pardon himself and his entire family of all crimes throughout their entire lives. Then that's still fair game. I don't think any judge will hold that up. It's just Trump being a fucking. Oh, I don't wait. Trump being a bloviate.
Like it's beyond corrupt though. It's really bad.
It's bloviating, but I don't think like we really saw
bypassing Congress, right? Imagine if Biden wanted to like implement universal health care, so he sued the HHS on defamation, even though he knew he would lose the suit, forced them to settle with himself, and then as part of the settlement agreement, it was providing like using Medicare and Medicaid to provide like free health care to everybody.
Well, I mean, there were several things that Biden did do that with. I think it was like a CHVS. I don't remember the exact acronym. He invented, without going to Congress, a visa program and ended up bringing in about 700,000 people from 4 specific nations south of us, and then got sued by I think 28 states led by Ken Paxton. And they ended up shutting it down, saying it was probably illegal, but they never took it to court because he left office by that point. So like that happens all the time. Presidents think if you were president or you were in the Congress or you were in the courts, you'd want to push your powers to see how much more you could get out of them. I would say like it's perfectly legitimate. And Biden did it quite a bit, and Trump did it in his first term quite a bit. You want to test the limits of your ability. And maybe you go too far, and then the courts step in and say, hey, reel that back. I think other than the sale of TikTok, Trump hasn't ignored the actual Supreme Court yet. Just some district court rulings he disagreed with and was planning on appealing.
Like the CHNV program was
That's it.
terminated in 2025.
Yeah. Well, that was after Trump took office, and then he had to sue to get those TROs and visas revoked because the program was
Yeah, but
potentially illegal.
that was just a parolee program. What's wrong with that?
It was a visa program. You have to go to Congress to get that money allocated a particular way.
No. The CHNV program used the president's parole power, the parole and
That's what a visa program is using your parole authority. Yeah, he expanded his parole authority and didn't go to Congress with that allocation of funds. Your parole authority, it's not like police parole. It's a bigger term to the word parole authority. Yeah.
Wait, parole authority is visas?
Pretty sure, yeah. The program itself that brings the people in. I'm looking that up right now to see how they're exactly linked. Yeah, visa categories are numerically limited and established exclusively by Congress. So for him to
The United States non-visa parole is temporary, discretionary authorization allowing non-citizens to physically enter a country for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, but does not grant formal legal immigration status.
Yeah. He was giving TROs to people as well. He was expanding his TROs but this was a visa program, the CHVS, and he was allowing these people to come in.
TROs? Temporary.
What's that? Temporary, or TPO. Is it TPO? It's TPO, I'm sorry. TPO.
TPS, temporary protective status?
Yeah, temporary protective order would be the thing that he could issue for that temporary. The status is what they receive. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he was expanding his authority, and he got sued on this particular instance, and they shut it down, and it didn't actually make its way fully through court.
If I remember, the CHMV program got temporarily shut down because there's like some fraudulent activity going on for like 6 months, and then it's restarted. Like people filing the same names multiple times. That's why it got shut down once. I don't know if it got shut down again for a different reason.
I'm pretty sure the lawsuit. I'm looking for it right. This is good because I haven't talked about this stuff in a couple of years, so I gotta update my memory on it because it's been a while.
Yeah, CHMV.
Huh, yeah, it didn't actually get fully shut down. I'm pretty sure this is the lawsuit that 28 states sued. Let me
Yeah, it was shut down. It was temporarily shut down in 2024 because people were refiling using the same social security numbers over and over and over again, and same names over and over again. To use it.
Texas versus DHS in 2024. This is what I'm thinking of. It was 21 states got together and argued the DHS exceeded its statutory authority on creating categorical parole programs rather than application of a strict case-by-case basis. This is something we saw used against Trump. District courts were saying if you want to cut USAID funding, you can't just do it as a blanket cutting. You have to do it on a case-by-case basis and things of that nature. His deportations also, he had a ruling similar to that. And it's currently under the Fifth Circuit Court right now. So it hasn't actually, the lawsuit's still ongoing. Yeah, so it's good to have an update on that because after 2024, everyone stopped talking about Biden's border, so I never really.
When it comes to immigration, when it comes to the TPS, and it comes to parolee status, I'm pretty sure that's really within the discretion of the executive.
Yeah, to some degree, but yeah, I think that Supreme Court basically just said that when Trump came in and overturned all those temporary protective orders issued for Haitians and almost everybody on this program. I think that was recent. So there was one that was last year, one that was this year.
I'm trying to see. Summons. I wonder if they get a preliminary injunction? Did they get anything?
It was May 30th, 2025. The Trump administration was legally authorized to terminate the parole program and begin deporting everybody. 7-2 decision.
Yeah, because the parole program is broadly under the authority of the president.
Yeah. So that's I mixed up I'm thinking, what am I thinking of that got temporary? Maybe it was the CBB1 app. But that's still around too, because Trump is using that to give people money if they self-deport.
The CHMV program, I've been talking about that is related to like the fraud that was going on. I never heard anybody. Let's see. Did this lawsuit get anywhere?
I'm thinking of something. I know that there is something that was frozen that the Biden administration did with their parole authority. I just can't fucking remember what it is off the top of my head.
Also, guys, give me money. I keep forgetting. I'm gonna do Q&A. You don't have to give me money, but give me money. I'm trying to save up money for college right now.
But yeah, Trump sucks, and I mean, everyone that isn't like in the tank for him will admit he sucks, but it's like he's just a slightly better alternative than the other side. And we saw like even the CNBC poll that came out a couple of days ago showing who you trust to like run different facets of the country. Republicans are up on border security and immigration by 22 points, taxes by 9 points. Everything else is pretty.
Okay. But this Texas VDHS thing, I'm skeptical because they actually lost on their motion for a preliminary injunction.
Yeah, well, they were it's Texas court.
Skeptical.
Well, they appealed up to the Fifth Circuit Court. I'm sure. I mean, that's kind of how things happen. Like you put out a lawsuit, it gets slapped down, you lose.
Not saying that like this can't be overturned by another court, but when I'm like skimming through a case and I'm trying to see, okay, is this valid without like taking a deep dive into the actual legal arguments? Whether a court is like granting or not granting preliminary injunctions or TROs is usually like a good indication of like what the judge thinks about like the validity of the case.
Well, unless you're judge shopping, sometimes that's a roll of the dice. You might get a judge that even is on the same side of you generally of the aisle, but you might be a textualist and he might be an originalist. You just have a different interpretation of how X, Y, and Z thing works. So, you know, like it's kind of a roll of the dice. That's why we have an appeals process and worked into our court system. And it's in the Fifth Circuit right now. And let's say the Fifth Circuit rules against it as well. The next step after that is to appeal to the Supreme Court if they decide to take up the case. Then we get to see if they slap it down. If at some point this gets ruled down and then it gets slapped down by the higher court, then we have a definitive answer.
Look, by the way the Supreme Court is ruling, I'm guessing they're going to give this to Biden. Because the funny thing is that if they were to do this, it would actually limit the power of the executive, which I'm actually, and I would do agree with Mega on one thing, is that when it comes to immigration, especially when it comes to these things created by Congress, like the TRO, asylum, or like being able to parole people in country, that is hugely under the discretion of the president of whether he wants to do that or not.
Sure. But if Congress has some sort of constitutional view or policing over it, and the power of the presidency is exceeding what the power they've been allocated by the Article 1 branch, then they could go to the courts and say, look, they're violating separation of power. And Gorsuch will be like, all right, whoever's violating separations of power and major questions doctrine, they're wrong every single time. So, I mean, there are some people there that are sympathetic to arguments about different instantiated rights and one branch not becoming too powerful. I just don't know enough about it without like sitting down and reading to say whether that's the case here.
An alien president in the United States without admitted or paroled who arises. Wait. Oh, parole. That's the first one. Here, what part of the INA gives the president his parole powers?
It was. I can find it. It was the 1952 INA, and it was the. Oh shoot! I know this. The National Security Clause.
Oh, it's 8 U.C. 1182. Apparently, it's D5A.
It's called the McCarran-Walker Act is the bill. It's Section 212.
Oh, I love how everything is impossible to read in this fucking D. 5.
It is a pain in the ass, but like
Everyone
if you
may, except as a discretion, in his discretion, parole into the United States temporary under such conditions as he may prescribe only on a case-by-case basis for urgent humanitarian or significant public benefit and alien and applying for admission to the United States, such parole of such alien and shall not be right as an admission of the alien. Okay, so it's a case-by-case basis. What did the judge say? Let's see, what was his argument for that?
I just don't understand how they're proving it's not a like you still had to apply for this as an individual from these countries.
So it would be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I don't maybe they're arguing that the quotas.
Yeah, so I don't think this is like Biden bypassing Congress, right? I don't know. I think it's way more and just to be clear, right? I think there's a very big difference between the president of the United States, in one sense, taking a law and then having maybe even like a slightly different interpretation of that, but try and like implement a certain policy versus the suing thing to implement something. Like you could literally, you're not interpreting anything. You're just like, you could make any policy with that. There is no, like, I don't even know what would limit. Like, your mind could go just about anywhere with that kind of shit. Where would that even end? If it is legal for the president to sue the basically executive branch and implement whatever he wants through a settlement agreement, then they could do whatever they wanted.
Well, I think the next step after that is an appeal by the government, but
Claire existed. Oh shit. Hold on, give me a sec.
I don't know. That's something that's just way over my head. I don't like it. I don't know if it's I don't know the process to know if it's something like, because he was aggrieved. That's something like generally people can agree on. You don't want someone releasing the whole point of like filing your taxes with the government secretly is that your personal data doesn't get released and scrutinized by the general public. Like, it's kind of shitty that against his will somebody did that. And I think that it makes him at least an aggrieved party with a point.
Yes, I think he had the right and ability to sue. I just think, I don't think he give a fuck. I think, right, because otherwise he would have sued within the statute of limitations, right? And that's it feels unsatisfying. Like, oh, like at a procedural level, he just like this isn't gonna work out. But that is just kind of true, right? Not that he wasn't. Now on like a merits level, the argument would be Charles Littlejohn was a private contractor working for a company, wasn't an IRS employee, and therefore the IRS took like safeguards to protect it. But you have to give him some level of access, so therefore the IRS isn't liable. Because what basically the argument if you read the complaint argument isn't that like, oh, the taxes got released. It's the IRS didn't take enough stops to prevent Charles Littlejohn from being able to access information and then release the taxes, or not even access the information, but copy it and download it, and then being able to release it. Because he broadly was supposed to have he needed access for the work he was doing. It was just
right now the U.S. District Court picked up Trump's anti-weaponization fund and froze it. It's currently she declared that it was because Trump controls the branch. There was no genuine legal controversy, and the suit was merely a mechanism to legitimize the transfer of funds. So she avoided it.
They're litigating the adverseness of the case, whether there's like the two parties here are like actually in contention or whether they're basically the same person. And the other one was basically they made like a constitutional argument. It's a violation of, I think it was the First Amendment, the Fifth and the 14th Amendment. I think that's what their argument was. I don't remember the other two, but I remember the first. It was like it's viewpoint discrimination because if you read the settlement agreement, it's weaponization is defined as like basically the DOJ being used maliciously, specifically only for against people under Democrat administrations. So therefore, it's like viewpoint discrimination by the government when they like only give this fund to people who have been supposedly hurt by the like Democrat administrations and no others.
Yeah, I think I can make abstract. Yeah, it's true. I can make abstract arguments to say maybe there is some backing behind that. The other party does find ways to get money to its people. The $20 billion that was supposed to go to Stacey Abrams. What the hell was it?
Well, remember the point that like Hunter Biden could like apply for this fund, but like the joke is that Hunter Biden got prosecuted by Biden's administration, so therefore it's only for Democrats.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it actually was Obama's administration for the first 2 years of what they were going after Hunter Biden for.
Yeah.
It was 2014 and 15 were the first 2 years of the taxes that he was doing improper things with. So yeah, it goes all the way back to that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think like that the professionals in the DOJ generally aren't all Peter Strzok or Andy McCabe or Lisa Page or the guy that falsified that email from the CIA about Carter Page.
Professionals are just like resigning, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, there's some of them are resigning, but yeah, like at the end of the day, the people on the ground doing the FBI work and the intel work are generally people that don't care about partisan politics and just want to do their job. So it's you point the head that's like the president's guy, and that's why the department or executive agency becomes partisan.
Like this is hugely corrupt, right? We've never seen something like this from like Biden's administration. You know, suing yourself on a lawsuit you're not going to lose.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like if he's trying to do this and it's been voided, then if he's probably going to lose this lawsuit, it's looking like it's only a
voided is the slush fund. The personal benefits are still technically enacted. So like all the.
Yeah, well, that's up to the judge. If the judge rules, hey, maybe that's something you can do. Maybe this is an extension of your pardon power in a way that if let's say this judge is a textualist.
It's not a pardon. Wait, he's not doing it through pardons. He's doing it through a settlement agreement.
Yeah, I get that, but the settlement agreement that he's asking for, maybe he has the right to actually do that because he has the pardon power. The pardon power would absolve somebody of all their crimes. He's just breaking that down to absolve them of some crimes. I could see a textualist judge say
pardon power in this instance.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I side more toward originalism slightly. I'm just saying I could see somebody arguing.
The memorandum in opposition never even mentions the pardon power from what I looked at. I don't think
I've
ever heard anywhere. I never.
I'm not saying they would.
Okay.
I'm saying that just.
I don't know why they would rule on the pardon power if it's not something being brought up as contention by the defendants or plaintiffs in any of the law.
Maybe the judge would say because this is being done in settlement form, that makes it illegitimate. But the president, because they have the full power to completely pardon somebody, partial pardons on specific facets, just tax law, maybe is valid because he has the ability to do that. She won't strike the settlement down because of the uniqueness of the situation. He has the ability to ask for that in his settlement. I don't know.
Questions about whether there's another way he could make another novel legal theory, okay, to try and justify that.
Sure. I don't know. I'm just
NCS, and I don't think they've ever seen, and I don't. Even if the guardrails do hold up, having a bad faith actor like this in the office is not a good idea. I just need to get him out.
I don't think so. I mean, he's not going anywhere unless he dies. He's not going anywhere. It's
beyond corrupt.
That's the thing. It's like
UAE deals thing too. You know, if like all the Trump coin, no Melania.
Well, hold on. If he doesn't get this, then it didn't happen, and then there's actually no corruption. Like. The judge already avoided the funds. He's just trying to do something, and the guardrails are holding.
Still corruption.
I mean, it's an attempt at it, but it's not actually like it's attempted corruption. But he never actually secured any funds, and the transaction never happened.
I do think corruption is just like a, what's my definition? Political or personal. Sorry, no, I'm mixing up. A dishonest or illegal, a dishonest or illegal act for personal or political benefit. You know. He got his personal benefit, and he's got his political benefit. Now, whether it gets struck down later, I don't really care. They're still corrupt.
I don't think the benefit has happened yet. The exchange hasn't happened. It's just an attempt still.
Unless that is right now, the IRS can't sue him or can't look out at him at all.
Yeah, but it's pending. It's sitting in the courts waiting for a decision on it. And again,
the only thing that's pending right now is the slush fund. His personal benefits, and the slush fund is more related to like, oh, that's politically beneficial. Nobody has sued over like. Is it okay for him to personally have this, so.
Yeah, but going into the UAE donations to his crypto, like, I don't know, what's the quid pro quo there to call that corruption?
Wasn't he like, he pardoned somebody who was like, he pardoned somebody who was going to go work for the same crypto company who then invested billions of dollars in coins related to Trump, and like has grown his net worth. I think like 60% of his net worth now is in crypto alone.
Okay,
there's also the rug pull incident where he like advertised a dinner to all of it to people for like the top 20% holders or whatever of his cryptocurrency, which caused it to massively spike. And later you saw wallets that held large amounts of Trump coin, which are associated with him, then take that and transfer it into more stable coins. So
I just again like I don't see anything outside of the norm
you
here.
don't think like rug pull incidents are like corrupt? Or...
I think rug pulls are illegal, and the Trump administration, when they ran their crypto, there's certain regulations the FCC has out that you have to follow. One of which is people can only sell 20%.
Investigations relating to crypto.
There's no, but the way that the Trump administration or the Trump family ran this is you could sell 20%.
Like it seems like he himself is doing rug pulls. He's ending the investigations. I don't know why we.
It
operates
might seem like that, but
like, I don't know why he would just follow the law suddenly. Be okay.
There's mechanisms and ways for other people to investigate besides just the branches that he has authority over. But at the end of the day, there's FCC rules on how to pull money out and end these crypto things, and there's nothing to say that he didn't follow it. You sell off the first 20%. You sell off the first 20%, and then the other 80% freezes in place, and then that can be slowly sold off over a schedule approved by the very same people that regulate this.
The fun that you're talking about like unlock versus lock periods, right? And like how the funny.
So if they follow that, that's not a rug pull.
They actually lied about the unlock period. They said they were delaying it after people got scared about like. They got scared of people started getting scared when they announced the dinner and the coin started massively shooting up, and then they said they were delaying the unlock period for like a ton of the coin, and then they just lied about it, and they like and the accounts were able to transfer it out. I literally have notes on this. It's actually insane. But right,
I haven't looked into it like that.
Would care about that, huh?
That's actually I have to debate that at DebateCon next week, so maybe I won't like go down this route with what you're. I doubt the dude did the same amount of diligence, but maybe I won't use this as one of my arguments.
All right, good luck, bro.
But yeah. All right, you got somebody else in line here, and I'm not really disagreeing with you too hard. We're just kind of like bouncing in the weeds of some stuff. So
I love Poutine. Poutine, what's up, bro?
Hey, take it easy.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, bro. Is Tyler's definition of corruption just a quid pro quo?
Probably.
Bro, like, is it the same definition as the stream ref, bro? It's really bad.
Destiny has that definition?
No, a stream ref. Did you see the last physical debate, the 2v2 with Dev?
No.
Yeah, sure, bro. It's also against Gibbs, I think.
Bro, I had good debates today, bro. I had a really good debate on a panel against. They were talking about the missing children. That shit's always fun to debate.
The missing children's thing, it's just that the DHS didn't have like direct lines of communication with the other agency, right?
The ORR, yeah.
How do you spell it?
ORR.
All right. Like that's literally
Office of
it.
Refugee Resettlement. It's under HSS.
Type shit.
It's literally just object. It's so fun to make fun. It's so fun to like make fun of them for not knowing what object permanence is, bro. Holy dude.
Oh my god, that's such a good analogy, bro.
They can't understand it. I'll be like, yeah. So like the ORR knows what it is. Like, no, but the ICE doesn't know. It's like, okay, so if I have a Twinkie and I give my Twinkie to a trusted friend, right? And this person doesn't have a phone. Do I not know where the Twinkie is? Like, holy shit, they literally like.
I don't know.
Automatically lower IQ than a literal infant, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, you have to treat them like kids sometimes.
Guys, if you want to debate in YouTube chat, you can right now, okay? You just need to join my Discord server. Yeah, and then you can request up. It's based.
Is there a particular reason for why your debate lives are just about Islam now?
Huh? Oh, I just wanted to debate that. I'm actually going to change the prompt back to what it was.
Back to Bear v Somali.
True. No, sometimes I just want to just talk about certain topics. So
sometimes you need to run down the dialogue tree.
True. live stream stuff. On YouTube it's just Trump sucks, so should be in there.
Oh my god.
Fuck yeah. You have no life experience whatsoever, child, so your opinion on this matter is literally non-valid.
Ooh.
Your vote
Burn.
is void, not non-valid. Sorry. I'm dumb, black. Not true,
Yeah,
bro.
young black man. Yeah.
Can't read.
Like, what are you doing on TikTok? You should be running them streets, boy.
Truth nuke.
Dude, I was
Are you
listening.
dumb,
I was reading your YouTube comments.
thing?
It's so bad.
What'd you say?
I was reading your YouTube comments, bro. It's so bad.
I don't even read them anymore, brother. So every single time, just like the most like retarded shit ever.
Straight up the KKK.
You're black. Are you familiar with the fact that your skin is a darker color than mine?
Bro, have you not seen the map?
True.
Oh, dude, I need to bring back.
You need to bring back the map. You're right.
It's been what, like 6 months since. All right, I found it. Let's go.
Let's go, bro. Can't show it on here.
What if I change my profile pic to this?
Oh no, bro. Let me just do like at. He took all of his vaccines too. Oh, and mailed in his vote. Apparently, Trump took all of his vaccines with the way he's acting right now, bro. Like insane.
Yeah, I love the Trump vaccine.
Dude. Poutine, are there like, do you have like parts of your body that just perpetually hurt from like working?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Which part?
My wrist.
Oh, I used to have that. It's just that you're hurting the muscles by like having it flex in a weird way. So whenever you start working, you know how like you just like twist your wrist like to warm them up.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's actually insane how good it is for your wrists.
Wow. Okay. I just been taking ibuprofen, bro.
No, don't do that. Just warm up, and it changes everything.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm doing it right now. It works.
All right.
Anyways,
Blava,
bro,
what's
what's
up?
up? Do you disagree?
Talking to me?
Yes, you disagree with the prompt.
It's been a while. It was probably an hour ago. I looked at it. What is the prompt now?
Trump sucks.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you like his policies, then you like Trump because he's enacting those policies. If you don't like his policies, then you don't like Trump generally, right?
Yeah, what policies do you like of his?
Well, I mean, just from a human perspective, my aunt has ALS, and Right to Try is enabling her to use a specific kind of medicine that she wasn't able to use otherwise. So that's one. I think the biggest thing with Trump is the border security aspect of what he did. It's you didn't need to enact any laws in order to actually enforce the law.
Yeah. What about the border? What is he doing?
What about it?
Yeah.
Well, it's 94% lower than when Biden was doing it. So May 26 to May 24 was about 94% lower. We're just under 10,000 where it was.
Why would I attribute that to Trump?
Well, because he's in the executive branch and he is, through an executive action, his 2025 executive action, the enforcement step. That's why
Did you
everyone's
say from
complaining.
You said from May 2024?
It's from May 2024 to May 2026. It's a 94% reduction in apprehensions. Here, sorry, 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, so
You understand that in May 2024 to like when did Trump get in office? December 2025. There was a significant drop in border encounters before he went into office, right?
yeah, and it's probably only so that Biden cannot appear like a treasonous fool. Because what he did over the course of his presidency was allow people to flood
In
in
fact,
and
in
affect
fact,
the
you do
House
understand that.
apportionment.
Well, the real question here is that if from we peaked at border encounters in December of 2024, and from
I
December
don't know about that,
2024 to
but I'll take your word for it. I don't know about the peak or whatever, but I'll take your word for it.
right here.
Scratch, are you using a fiscal year, by the way?
Am I using what?
Are you using actual time or fiscal year when you're saying December
I'm using the actual
2024?
time, I'm not using fiscal year right now. So here's December 2024 right here. Here's January 2024. It's fiscal year. So Trump got into office in January 20th. So for most of January, it was under Biden. The majority of this drop happened before Trump even got into office, right? Why wouldn't this just be right here be a continuation of the trend under Biden, right? Why is this something we attribute to Trump?
Well, it's his policy. It's what we all voted for, and we're seeing the effects of it. And you can't, on one hand, say that
Which
ICE
policy?
is this all-powerful force rummaging through and pulling people.
We're not
Then
talking
also
about
say
ICE. ICE is internal enforcement. We're talking about like CBP.
that
What
they're
policy did the border
ineffective.
did Trump implement?
It's all. I would consider ICE a part of border security, immigration policy, and border security. I think are
Why is there a difference? Why do we have the CBP and why do we have ICE? Why are those two separate agencies?
Well, I think one needs the breadth to actually travel throughout the United States, and one has to have resources that are allocated locally and have.
So ICE is about internal enforcement and about internal enforcement of people's status and like and if they're legal or not. And CBP is supposed to be about the border. So I don't know like what specific policies does he implement at the border that would cause border encounters to decrease, even though this was a continuing trend under Biden, right? Personally, I'm probably going to assume that the reason that border encounters went lower is because border encounters are going lower for literally the previous year, and it's just a continuing trend into Trump.
And I'm happy for, whenever it starts, I mean, I think that's a positive thing that it started at the end of Biden's presidency at the very last minute, right when he was pardoning everyone after everything that he did. I mean, it was a joke.
He was pardoning people in December 2024?
No, at the very end of his presidency, he gave out blanket pardons to his family members.
It's going down pretty to that. Yeah.
But you initially asked about Trump, from the Abraham Accords to the First Step Act, $255 million annually for HBCUs.
Sorry, December 2023. Fiscal year. Sorry, December 2023. My mistake.
The one thing that's interesting is that you got 18% of the executive.
I'm not gonna let you go off this point. Can you just admit you don't have a policy you can name me that's implemented the border that would cause border?
No, I said from the very beginning, he didn't actually have to change any laws to bring the immigration down to historic lows.
It was an ongoing trend from Biden. Biden's policies were already doing enough to bring border encounters down. There's nothing that needed to be done.
Not to the levels that we have now. I mean, we have a 94% reduction from that.
Happened under Biden, dude.
No, not that 94%. The 94% goes from 24 to 26.
When I'm saying the majority of the drop, I'm saying, right?
No, it didn't.
If we are
94%.
No,
not the majority.
So we're looking at December of 2024, 300,000 border encounters, right? Enforcement encounters. If we look here at the end of Biden's presidency, 61. So it went from almost 300,000, 61. So it's almost 200.
You're changing the metric. Encounters is a different metric, though. You're muddling your metrics.
Give me a sec. 250,000 of those border encounters, that decrease happened under Biden. The last 60,000, right, happened under Trump. And actually, it wasn't 60; it was 40,000 because it's at like 11,000 right now, or 10,000.
It's just a lie. I mean, if you actually look at
Wait,
the numbers,
are you
it's
looking at my screen
from
right now?
no.
Okay, so look at my screen because I'm on the CBP website, bro.
Go back. Let me see if I can see it. I'm not seeing your screen.
Poutine, can you see my screen?
Hold on. Yep.
Okay.
I'm not seeing. I'm seeing our three talking tiles. I'm not seeing any.
You need to
screen.
press watch stream.
Okay.
Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
You are.
Just press the white box.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
I can't. I'm not seeing a white box.
Okay, so we have 3 boxes. On the top, we have a watch
It says,
stream.
like watch stream.
Press on the
or
watch
something like that.
stream.
Let's see. I think I closed out. Stream. I'm seeing your stream. Only show videos. Deafening voice settings. Well, you can. I'll take your word for it. Just tell me.
Wait, give me a sec.
I can't. For some reason, I can't see it. I'm not seeing the option to see your screen.
I don't know
But the-
why that wouldn't
Right.
happen. Give a second.
I did my best.
Allow members to share their video screen share. Okay, so you guys have that. And
I think a part of what
you
the
should have,
thing
yeah,
with
you should have
Trump.
that permission.
Let me look again. Let me see. Which one are you? You're the
I'll just-
scratch.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this.
Send it.
I'm gonna put it in side chat. Do you know what side chat is?
No,
Okay,
I don't
it's the
use
chat that's
Discord, really.
attached- It's the chat that's attached to this one.
Okay.
So there should be like a little chat option, and I'll put the link to the source there, so you can look at it. So and remember, it's in fiscal year, and fiscal year starts in October. From December of 2023, you can see 2004. Sorry, 2020. Sorry, December 2023, we peaked at 300,000. By the end of Biden's administration, it was 61,000, right?
Mhm.
And then
You're
it
saying
bottomed out in the
that
Trump
Biden did
administration
it
about
for
11,000. So for only 40,000 of those border of the drop can be accounted to Trump. The other almost 250,000 in that drop was under Biden's admin. So of course I'm just going to assume that that's due to Biden's policies, right? If you're saying there isn't a specific policy that Trump implemented and just we just enforce the laws, well, that seems like Biden was just doing that previously, and it's not something you would ever attribute to Trump.
Well, how come the House apportionment changes then? Because, like, when you look at the census and you look at the positioning of having folks come in across the border and not enforcing it, and you can, I think, turn around the last several months, and if you look at like the rate of increase in crackdowns, we all saw that towards the end of Biden's presidency, and I think that was partly because of Kamala Harris running for the presidency and being positioned as the person in charge of the border. So I think there was an
not
extra
really.
effort at the end of the presidency, but I think it's cold comfort.
not
It's
really.
too little, too late.
I don't know what did they do at the end of Biden's presidency.
You said, what did they do for transparency?
Yeah, even at the end of Biden's. Yeah.
Well, at the end of Biden's, it was so. First, if you think about it in the context of the debates, Biden was starting that debate process for running for reelection. He kind of fizzled out in spectacular fashion, and then it was Kamala Harris's job to
No, I'm asking
fill in
specifically related to
the role.
immigration,
No,
right? Like
I'm
immigration,
answering
there
your
were
question.
previous policies that were implemented to try and like
I'm answering your question. You're just going to have to
try
hold
and
me
like
for a second.
you're not answering it. That's why I'm interrupting you. There were
But
policies
you're not
that like Biden implemented in
I was
2023
speaking,
that
but you
related
weren't
specifically to the border.
listening.
Like he made a deal with Mexico to like send troops to the border. He sent some troops himself in 2023, but border counters continued to rise. And what the only thing he really did in 2024 was he implemented an executive order that like somewhat restricted asylum, and there was like a small decrease in the amount of border encounters, but not to that.
So let's go with
between
your
2 months.
framing for
Huh?
a second. I'm going to think in your
really didn't
framing
do
for a
that.
minute.
Biden really didn't do that much in 2024. So my main framing here is going to be that the recent border encounters were so massive under Biden wasn't really due to any policy that anybody enacted or lack of enforcement, but was due to external factors in different countries which incentivized people to immigrate to the United States.
Right. So you're saying that the enforcement aspect, the positioning of it is the same between Biden and Trump. Biden's term versus Biden's first term versus Trump's second term. Same positioning, same approach.
No.
One. So what's the? So they're the same then.
The question, the point I'm making is that like border encounters are more of an effect of external factors that the president have control over, like humanitarian crises, right? Like, what's the reason?
Well, that's true for everything.
Like, look, dude, I know you don't know anything. Trump did actually send troops to the border. He deployed National Guard there. Biden did the same thing, and he even made a deal with Mexico to do so during his term. And we saw border encounters continue to increase. So the reality is that are these policies effective that Trump have implemented? No, Biden actually implemented some of them previously. The actual reality is that border encounters really aren't something that a president has that much control over.
So let's take that premise. There's not much that a president's policies can have control over. He's one of 3 branches of government, and even then, he only runs certain aspects of the executive branch. He doesn't have absolute control. He's bound by.
He believes that he does, though.
But so in that framework, why is he getting blamed for things that he shouldn't have blame for?
Immigration is almost exclusively to the executive branch, and he says that he has full control over everything within the executive branch. So that's why.
Well, he does have control of the executive branch, but he's bound by laws. He can't do illegal things as the.
And he's still breaking the law for immigration. He doesn't care.
Well, and then he could be held to account for that. There's an accountability process.
How? Yeah, how? He's not getting impeached.
Well, if he gets impeached, or if he can.
He's not. That's the point. Republicans don't care about breaking immigration law. They're fine with that. So how can he be held accountable? He cannot be criminally prosecuted.
He could if if Biden had his way, he would weaponize the entire justice apparatus against the president. And there are laws.
No, the Supreme Court made him immune. The Supreme Court in Trump v. US, when they tried to hold him accountable for trying to coup the government, they said that he was immune from criminal prosecution.
He didn't try to coup the government, and if there was an insurrection that was the worst insurrection in history of insurrections, because no one had.
Can you explain why he had 7 false slates of electors then?
7 what?
False slates of electors. You know what Mike Pence said about that, or you didn't know?
Oh, no, I'm familiar with. It's not called a false flag. It's an alternate slate of electors.
False, because they were not certified. An alternate slate, one in the Hawaii 69 election, it's approved by the governor. None of these people were approved by the state or the governor at all. So these were false slates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they tried that. Kennedy tried that with Hawaii back when.
Nope, I just mentioned it in Hawaii. They approved it.
It's not unprecedented, right? And that's why they tried it. It didn't actually get approved.
Wait,
no, it's the first time.
I'm sorry to correct you mid-debate. So basically, what happened is that the Democrats submitted 2 slates of electors, one which wasn't approved, and then the next one which was approved.
Yeah, the second one was approved because it was in violation of the law. Yes, I know.
But I would say that the first one was a fake slate.
Yeah, but when they realized, they actually found the correct one, so that's not the same. I don't know why you're correcting me on this. I know the first one was not legal, but the one they used was
something similar that happened, and I guess if you actually read both slates, they actually do have similar language. But I would say the first slate was fake.
It's a part of the process.
There was actually a court case that litigated this in Hawaiian's federal district court, and they affirmed that the correct slate was the one that was certified by the governor.
And
So
they,
it seems like
yeah,
all
but
the
they,
precedent,
it was all in good faith, and it was not over. I don't know why you're correcting me.
No,
You're
I know
just
it's
being
all in good
autistic.
faith. I know it's I know what the Democrats are in good faith. Obviously, because the governor actually.
Ah, this has nothing to do with my point. You're destroying the dialectic.
No, I'm not.
Jesus Christ.
His point is His point is literally that similar stuff has happened to this, and I think when he's saying similar, like other slates like the Trump's one have been filed, which is true that there was a similar slate. The point is that the precedent of like what happened in Hawaii just proved that slate wasn't invalid, and the slate that was valid was the one certified by the governor, and none of the Trumps were.
I think he was definitely grabbing at straws. I mean, he was grabbing at straws, trying to follow every legal avenue he could to win.
He wasn't.
And when that didn't happen, he quit. And
No,
he gave,
no. Up to J6,
left
the plan
on
was to
time.
violate the Electoral Count Act. You know that, right? They were asking Mike Pence to break the law.
No, they thought that was legal. They thought that he had the power to do that, and
Nope.
Pence determined that he did not.
No,
So
so the plan was for Mike Pence to break the Electoral Count Act, and the theory by John Eastman was that this was an unconstitutional law, so he had the right to break it. But Greg Jacob, Mike Pence's own legal counsel, debated John Eastman about that, and John Eastman considered that they would lose 9-0 to the Supreme Court. Trump was aware that this was illegal, which is why 2 days before J6, at their meeting, even Mike Pence called out the fact that John Eastman did not believe in the legality of that theory.
Right. And like I said, he was grabbing at straws, but nothing he did was illegal. He was.
It's a criminal conspiracy. Well, you know that a criminal conspiracy, it's a crime.
Kenneth Cheeseborough literally pled guilty in Georgia to falsifying documents because of the fake slave electors they created.
Yeah, I just need to know if you have a plan with attorneys to break the law. That's a criminal conspiracy. That's a felony crime. That's not legal.
Their interpretation is that it's not breaking the law.
Okay, a criminal conspiracy cannot be, well, we thought that we had the right to break the law, so it's not a criminal conspiracy. All you have to prove is that there's a plan, a meeting of the minds to break a law. So if the plan is to break the ECA, it doesn't matter whether or not they think the ECA is constitutional. All you need to prove is that they had the intent to break a law, which was the case.
They went through the actual processes, and their hope was that it would get approved. Ultimately, the powers that be pushed against them, but they followed every legal avenue. And what Trump did not do is bring people there with guns.
Then why did Kenneth Cheeseborough plead guilty in Georgia?
Well, I'm sure there's some bad actors here and there, but like you said,
Kenneth Cheeseborough was Trump's attorney.
Personally hired to like carry out this.
In the same way that Trump isn't in control over the border policy, he's not in control over every single person.
I'm sorry. This was co-conspirator number 5. This was Trump's co-conspirator. He was a co-conspirator with Trump. It was Trump's private attorney. And by the way, okay, when Trump was made aware in front of his own attorneys that his plan was illegal 2 days before J6, why did he still ask Mike Pence to do the same thing he was asking him to do for a month?
Because it was his last chance.
His last chance to stay in office, and he was willing to break the law, correct?
Sure.
It's not breaking the law. His interpretation is that Pence had the power.
Wait. Let's say that he believes that. Wait. Scratch. Let's say I believe that my friend can break the law. Like, oh yeah, you can actually kill this guy. We have this novel legal theory for self-defense. You can just kill this guy. And my own attorneys admit that this is not a valid theory. We will lose 9-0 to the Supreme Court. Me telling my friend to kill that guy, even though I have this novel legal theory, if I am aware from my own attorneys that I will lose this court case, I know that I'm breaking the law. Trump was asking Mike Pence to violate the ECA.
Not necessarily, because if killing that person was in self-defense and there were mitigating circumstances that could push it in a different direction, there's a lot of people in a different school of thought that
Stop fighting the hypothetical. It is granted that this is a unvalid legal theory. I will lose this court case, and I'm still telling my friend to kill that person, even though it will be considered murder. The entire plan was for the Supreme Court to not pick up the case because of the political question doctrine. They were aware that they will violate the Constitution. Their only hope was that there will be no judicial review.
His hope, like, let's say it violated the Constitution, but everyone agreed along the way and check-marked it along the way. There might even be like a 2% chance of that. The fact is, he respected the process enough, did it through the process, And when he submitted it through the process, it got rejected. And you can't blame him for trying. And,
Yes,
you know,
you can.
he
Yes,
stepped
you
away.
can. It's a criminal conspiracy. When you plan to break the law, it is the case. The act
No,
of serious, the criminal element of the crime is just you
So,
break the law. It does not matter whether or not you believe that you are not breaking the law. If I'm robbing a bank because I think, well, that's my money, I have the right to take it back, that's still a crime.
if that were the case, I mean, if it was as simple as robbing a bank, then we wouldn't even be talking about this today.
Okay, you know that Trump's legal defense was not even that. They never denied. Like, this was not Trump's defense for his criminal conspiracy case in DC.
And why wasn't he charged with an insurrection?
It was, no, we're talking about a criminal conspiracy. Like, it was conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to
Okay, why
obstruct an
wasn't
official
he charged
proceeding,
with-
and conspiracy
How
against
come he
rights.
wasn't charged with some criminal conspiracy to defraud the United States? And how come
He
he
was.
wasn't?
That's the first count, 18 USC 371.
And
That's
how
the
come he
first
wasn't
Jack Smith
convicted?
case.
How come he wasn't convicted?
Because he got criminal immunity and he got elected, meaning that the Department of Justice cannot prosecute a sitting president since 1974.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so it's
Yeah.
so basically what he did was legal. Then is what you're saying.
No, he broke the law, but he's immune as president because even if a president breaks the law until he's out of office, it is against DOJ policy, federal prosecutors to prosecute him, which is why Jack Smith had to dismiss the case without prejudice.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, so
if he's
I don't know why you brought up that talking point as if I didn't know the policy of the DOJ.
because he's operating within the bounds of what he's able to do, and he put it through the process, and the process rejected it. You guys are all
Okay, wait. We're asking, did he try to coup the government? The question is, did Donald Trump try to coup the government? And we're establishing that he had a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the election.
Real coups involve weaponry and actual
You know what a soft
force.
coup is?
Yeah, not this. Not what actually happened.
Wait, what's the definition
Okay,
of a
wait.
soft coup?
Wait, illegally. Okay, let's say that there's an election in Venezuela. The president loses the election and he just changes the vote on the last day, doing fraud. That will be a coup, right?
Changing the vote, yeah.
That's what he tried to do. He tried to change the electoral college vote. He had 7 false sets of electors to change the vote of 7 different states. So the Biden elector votes will go to him.
Yeah, that's an attempt that was rejected. He put it through the process.
But that's an attempt to coup the government, correct?
No.
He failed. No, it's an attempt that failed, correct? You just said it?
No, it's not an attempt to coup if it's actually a part of the government that's doing it. It's its own government.
Well, okay, so the government cannot coup itself. So once again, when I brought up the Venezuela hypothetical, it was the government doing a coup, like changing election results to stay in power.
I mean, you can call any election a coup. Anyone who's trying to gain power and displace someone who's currently in government, you could call that a coup.
It's illegally.
No, because it's legal. A coup means that it's against the rules of the system. The rules of the system is on J6, you certify the electoral votes from the states that have already been certified in every 50 states. Trump was trying to change that. He asked Mike Pence to change the results so he will stay president. So that's a coup. That's against the rules. That's a violation of the Electoral Count Act.
He can ask, and that's all he did was ask.
He pressured him, and that's a conspiracy. You cannot ask.
He filed fake electors in multiple states, which, by the way, was ruled illegal in Georgia, and in multiple other states is literally being litigated, like in Wisconsin right now. The lawyers who did this are being prosecuted. So one, there were illegal steps that broke state law to do this, and he then asked Mike Pence to use those fake electors, which had already been made, by the way, on J6, to unilaterally throw out the real electors. It wasn't just he asked. There was actions taken previously to set it up for Mike Pence so he could then violate the ECA. It was a criminal conspiracy.
And everything you're talking about has legal precedent. And he had up until specific periods of time to challenge these results. And there was a process he followed, a legal process. And he stepped away. He stepped away at the time that he needed to step away.
He didn't just ask Mike Pence, that there were a multitude of other actions taken prior to him asking Mike Pence to unilaterally throw out votes, which involved breaking multiple state laws.
Also, he didn't ask Mike Pence in good faith. He was lying to Mike Pence even during Christmas. When he was called by Mike Pence to wish him a Merry Christmas, he lied to Mike Pence. The DOJ is finding evidence of voter fraud. You have a duty to not certify the election on J6. That was a lie. The DOJ never found any of that. So he was lying to Mike Pence to convince him to break the law.
Trump really believes, and I think he still does believe, that there's evidence of voter fraud.
Okay, so why did 3 days before the election, the certification of the vote, did he ask the DOJ to make stuff up?
I think he was trying to. I don't know what you're referring to. What did he say to? For
He
the
told
DOJ?
both his AGs to send a fraudulent letter to the state of Georgia, where this letter will tell them that they found evidence of voter fraud. Both his AGs told them there is no evidence of voter fraud. We never found any of that. So what Trump tried to do, he tried to fire Jeffrey Rosen, his attorney general, to appoint Jeffrey Clark, another attorney that will be willing to defraud the state of Georgia.
And he maintains today that there's still voter fraud.
He lied. That's why he told them to make stuff up.
When this is such a slow moving process right now, what's happening between the former Biden presidency, this current presidency, and we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, according to these guys, they have
platitudes.
What?
Don't engage with any argument, bro. Do you like?
Yeah, are you going to engage? What?
What does that even mean, dude?
That's
we've
not
laid out to
responsible.
you- we've laid out to you how this is a coup. We've laid out to you this is how a criminal conspiracy. We've laid out to you the multiple steps,
It's not a criminal
including
conspiracy if you use the
including
legal
hiring
term.
lawyers who broke state laws, right, to do this.
You see, everything you're describing is within a legal process. Like taking
okay.
taking an armed
Wait,
force.
so
and
falsifying
enforcing it to happen,
government
that would be
official
a coup.
documents in Georgia, that's in the official process?
You cut out in the beginning of that.
Falsifying government documents in Georgia as part of the official process?
Oh, did Trump falsify documents in Georgia?
No, he had his lawyers do
Yeah,
it for him.
Yeah, and he tried to defraud the state of Georgia, which is why Eric Hirschman, Trump's own legal counsel, told his co-conspirator Jeffrey Clark, your first step as the attorney general will be to commit felony fraud.
Sure. And
Like Trump was asking his own AG, his new AG to commit fraud.
And we know he knew that he was making fake electors in all these states because he got on the phone call with Ronna Daniel Dougal, I forgot exactly her name. She was the RNC chair at the time with John Eastman, and he asked her to literally coordinate helping making these fake electors in all these states. So he knew about what was happening. He hired private lawyers to do so, and then those private lawyers literally got prosecuted and pled guilty to violating the law in these states. How is that part of the legal process?
All this stuff it's litigation that's still pending. It's all tied up.
That's not
and it's
No,
not
no, Trump pardoned them. No, they got pardoned.
And he got
Okay,
pardoned.
let's be clear.
There's no
For the
penalty
federal
here. He
indictment,
pled
it was
guilty, bro.
dismissed, and Trump pardoned every single co-conspirator. Steve Bannon, Jeffrey Clark, Sidney Powell, Kenneth Chesebro, Giuliani, and Eastman, they all got pardoned, so we can't really litigate whether or not this happened. Trump is president, and he pardoned these co-conspirators.
Well, it's also dishonest to say there's ongoing litigation when, like, was it Sidney Powell and Chesebro just pled guilty in Wisconsin? Sorry, not in Georgia. Sorry, the litigation's ongoing
Yeah.
in Wisconsin.
Individuals can get taken down, along the way, people that may have done the wrong thing. But the country,
Yeah, but
this
those
has already been
individuals were involved in the broader
not been public
conspiracy, right?
aware. And the United States has decided that you are all wrong. And that's why we
Wait.
elect
You didn't
Trump
know, but you had no idea. You didn't know we were wrong because you had no
No,
idea about any of this.
I disagree with you. I think this process is a legal process that he went through, and he tried every legal avenue he could, and he
Really?
failed, and that was the end of it. And he
Right.
left
Okay,
at the
wait.
right.
Do you agree that he did a criminal conspiracy?
Complaining about being scared the whole time that he could actually pull it off. You guys shit your pants the whole time, and at the end of the day, he couldn't.
Do you agree that Donald Trump tried to commit a criminal conspiracy? That he had one with his attorneys?
No,
Okay,
I don't.
What is a criminal conspiracy?
I think it's knowingly breaking the law.
Okay.
And
So when John Eastman wrote down the plan where they said that they will break the Electoral Count Act, how were they not aware that they were breaking the law? The plan was to break the law.
I mean, the election results were still being contested, and he had
No, they weren't.
And he had counsel advising him as to the legal avenues to do this. And this was something that they
he fired all his legal counsel. His own DOJ. He dismissed them. There's a reason for why William Barr left. and his attorney generals were refusing and threatening to quit over it. Trump did not listen to a single one of them. He only listened to his private attorneys that were willing to break the law with him.
So you keep saying breaking the law, and it remains to be seen whether or not. And you actually could be committing slander right now by saying what
Okay,
you're saying.
it is slander when John Eastman wrote down in the plan that they will break the Electoral Count Act. It is slander to say what he said.
Okay.
Hmm?
I don't even know who you're talking about.
John Eastman, Trump's own attorney, co-conspirator number 2,
Co-conspirator number 2. So what happened to him?
he got a pardon by Trump.
Oh, okay. And is that a legal process?
Yeah, to protect
Oh.
Trump's crimes. Yeah. Wait. So you can see the point. Trump had a criminal co-conspirator and he pardoned them. So we can't know if whether or not he broke the law in court because he's immune.
You're butthurt about everything that happens that's completely legal. Everything
How
you're
is it- wait, how
describing.
is it illegal
and if
to
you
make
came in
fake
with
slates of
weapons,
electors?
Wait. I just need one question. Let's say somebody like break. Okay, let's say I break. Mhm.
point. But he didn't
Okay.
bring in weapons. He didn't control things. He actually let the process take place. He's not
What?
writing law.
I'm sorry. He didn't control things. Trump hired his own attorneys. This was at Trump's direction.
Wait.
And the
I'm
American
sorry,
You just
where does it-
lied.
wait,
You just
where
lied.
does it allow-
Wait.
where
You
does
just
it allow-
lied. You just made something
Voted
up.
Yeah, you
for
did
him.
just lie. Wait, where does it say in the ECA or any law that they're allowed to make fake electors?
Where does it say where?
Yeah, like where in the legal process is the Trump allowed to make fake electors?
Let's see. Let me look it up for you here.
You're not gonna find it. More goalposts moving and coming.
True.
Well, you asked a question. Let's get you an answer.
Yeah, by the way, when you said that we're bothered about something that is legal, if Trump pardoned, let's say, Ghislaine Maxwell, despite her raping kids with Jeffrey Epstein, I would think it's bad, even though he has the right to do it, you know? So when Trump is pardoning criminals that try to coup the government alongside him, I think it's bad, yes.
He doesn't think it's a coup, and I think most of the country doesn't think it's a coup.
Okay, so if Ghislaine Maxwell didn't think that it was because the age of consent was like 16 in Florida, you will say what?
So I didn't hear you. I'm just reading the answer to the question that you just had a minute ago, which was the conditions in which alternate slates can take place. So
Yeah,
historically,
what are the conditions?
We didn't say alternate, we said false.
We said fake. Yeah.
you call it fake, whatever you want to. I mean, you.
No.
You're-
Alternate states are legal. We're saying that false.
Alternate electors are certified by like a state executive. Okay. And they're
Right.
usually so-
Before they get certified, where they're fake until they're certified, is what you're saying.
No, they're false when they're on J6 in the Capitol trying to present themselves as the real certified electors. So that's why we say that they're false. They were lying to the federal government about being the duly appointed slates for the states that Trump took, that Trump lost.
You're just describing the system taking place, and
No,
So
you're
it's-
not.
it's against the
if you read
system, it's in
ECA
violation
if
of
you read
the
the
Contact.
if you read the ECA, it specifically says that the vice president isn't allowed to count any electors who weren't regularly given. And regularly given is according to state laws, and the state law is that that the votes that are counted or the electors that are counted are the ones that won their respective elections, being Biden's. Then that would not comport with the law, and therefore that would be outside of the legal process.
yeah, and I think that's probably why it got rejected ultimately. But I think
Yeah,
there's a
because
whole.
outside of the legal
Refused to
process,
do the
dumbass.
coup.
No shit, and you're trying to say it's inside.
But it's not. But
You
it's
know
not
anything?
a coup if he's following the legal process.
What?
It's a
And-
criminal. Okay, do you know that it's illegal
He's not
to
following the legal
to
process.
plan
He's
to break?
admitted it.
Okay, wait. It's illegal. It's a felony crime to plan to break the law. It's called a criminal conspiracy. It's when you have a meeting of the minds, so multiple people have a plan and they have at least one step towards the act of breaking the law, which Trump did. They tried to break the ECA, and even though they failed, they had multiple overt act steps towards making that crime.
Well, everyone disagrees with you guys. I think you guys are left wing loonies on this. I mean,
No,
America.
wait,
Yes, you have
wait,
no
wait, let me
counter
read
argument.
you the
Oh, no.
ECA. If one or more,
No,
well,
the counter argument is that it's not illegal. It's not illegal
one return or
because
paper purporting to be
the president
the
has the
return from
power.
a state shall have been received by the president of the Senate Those votes, and those votes only, shall be counted, which shall have been regularly given by the electors who are shown by the determination mentioned in Section 5 of this title who have been appointed. Now, what does regularly given mean? Okay. Well, we're given electors that have been appointed according to state laws in Section 6 of the Electoral Count Act, and almost all state electors are appointed by the highest number of votes. In all 7 swing states, that means, right, if Trump didn't get the highest amount of votes, then you are not regularly given. So these electors couldn't be counted, which means he was acting outside the legal process, not just on the state level, but also on a federal one.
And why has not been a final court judgment holding that Trump personally violated the electoral?
Because Trump's trial was set for 2025, and by then Trump had won the election, meaning that they had to dismiss the case because you cannot prosecute on at trial a sitting president.
And so,
So
really,
because of your vote, Trump is immune. You made Trump immune for his crimes.
I don't think it was a crime, and it's not a crime if we, the people, decide it's not a crime. It's not a crime.
Okay, if Trump raped a little girl and you vote for him before he goes to trial for child rape, did he break the law?
Yes, he did break the law.
Yeah, so just because you're immune doesn't mean that you didn't break the law. Trump was absolutely guilty of those criminal conspiracies, but you made him immune. Just bite that bullet, just admit that you voted for him.
But he didn't break the law. If there's a legal avenue for him to do it, I mean, we're running around in circles,
There
guys.
wasn't a legal
Yeah,
avenue.
okay. The problem is that we keep explaining how Trump tried to break the law, and you keep going, well, it's a legal avenue. How is it a legal avenue to have a criminal conspiracy in violation of 18 USC 241, 371, and 1512?
Because the lawyers were pursuing what they considered to be legal interpretations of the act in good faith, which was the electoral of
They
1887.
said they will break the law.
In good faith. Well, they pursued it.
Okay, wait. Again, you don't understand the theory. The plot by John Eastman was to break the Electoral Count Act. It was not a theory to interpret the Electoral Count Act. It was, we're going to break it and hope that the Supreme Court doesn't pick up the case. So there is no judicial review to say that we broke the law. That was the plan, to avoid being held accountable.
Yeah, they definitely want to avoid being,
so they try to break the law and then run from the law. Yeah.
It really comes down to retaliation. Like, they don't want retaliation against them. They want to pursue every legal avenue to hold on to power. It didn't work. They walked
That was
away.
the legal avenue. Okay, so it literally says in the John Eastman memo that they're going to break from the procedure of the ECA. The ECA is a law laying out the procedure for Congress during their joint session to count the electoral votes. John Eastman specifically says in his memos with what he wants Mike Pence to do to break the law. This is not a legal avenue. He's explicitly going outside of it.
So the biggest dispute is the vice president's role in the ECA.
It's not a dispute. No, it's not a dispute.
Can you just admit what I just said there was like
It was a
them
dispute, because
explicitly
on
saying that they're
one
going to
side,
break the
they
law?
thought that some authority to decide disputes as the vice president.
I'm going to ask you again. What
And
I
on
just
the
laid
other,
out there,
only a
right? In the Eastman
ceremonial
memo,
role.
can you admit that Eastman just blatantly said they were going to break the law?
No, because if they
Okay,
don't,
what is the?
if-
I'm going to ask you a quick question. Is the ECA procedure of how to count electoral votes?
is the ECA procedure about that?
How
Restate your.
Congress during their joint session is going to count their electoral votes? Is that what the ECA is?
Yes,
Your
it is.
your question's still muddy. I don't
Is the
understand.
Okay,
your-
the answer is yes.
procedure for
Scratch.
how
The answer is
Congress
yes.
during their joint session is going to count the electoral votes?
The ECA is a law from
Yes,
1887.
it is a law, and it's a procedure for how Congress is going to count up their electoral votes during the joint session. Correct?
And the reason Congress rewrote it in
Yes or no?
2022 is
Just answer the
because it was
question, bro, please.
ambiguous.
I'm sorry to say that, but just answer
Yes,
the
it
question.
was. And the reason it was rewritten in 2022
Yes,
is because it was
I'm not asking about
ambiguous.
it being rewritten. So yes, so if we look at the version from beforehand, did the ECA
Uh-huh.
explicitly say that? Okay, did the ECA explicitly say that you have to count out all electoral votes?
It does, but it says that
Does it say that you,
it has
when it comes to
ambiguity
objections, that you
of
can't
vice
move on? You
president
can't move on
approval.
to the next. Wait, does the ECA say you cannot move on to the next elector or next state until you've resolved any objections? Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad.
And the
we got
question is
this.
whether or not the
So
vice
wait,
president
so if,
resolved
so,
those
so if John
objections.
Eastman, so if John Eastman is telling Mike Pence when there's objections or when there's a problem, certain electors to move on and save those ones for later. Is that not a violation of the ECA?
You can ask him.
It
And
is. Johnny Smith says
yes,
explicitly
we can
says
ask
it.
him. Yes,
Johnny
Johnny.
Smith says it's
Yes.
break with the procedure.
he can ask him to break with the procedure, but if the
So
if the
No.
vice
Johnny Smith is
president
asking him to break the
Oh,
ECA then,
to
correct?
determine which slate is valid,
So
the question
asking
is
him to
whether
break.
the
Wait.
vice
So him
president has the
asking.
power to
So
decide
him
which
asking
slate.
Mike Pence. Him asking Mike
You guys
Pence to break the
let
procedure is
me
him breaking
talk.
the law,
You're
correct?
just constricted by what I'm saying that you're not even letting me speak.
I'm not
Uh,
letting you speak because what you're saying is
the
irrelevant.
question
So
is
once
whether or
again,
not
so him
Vice
asking,
Vice
so
President
him
Pence had
asking
the
Mike
authority
Pence to
to
break with the
decide the
procedure is
dispute.
him asking him to break the law, correct?
Not necessarily. If
Is
he
the law
if he
the procedure
determines
of how the electoral
if he
vote should be
determines
counted?
what you describe as the fake electors or the
You
alternate
already
electors,
conceded.
if he
The
determined
ECA
that
is the
those were the
procedure for how
valid
votes are
ones
going to be
because of
counted.
election
That's the
fraud,
law, right? The law is the procedure. You just conceded that Mike Pence, or sorry, Johnny Smith did ask Mike Pence to break with the procedure for when they're counting the votes. So therefore, it'd be in violation of the ECA.
well, the procedure would have been bringing in votes that were illegal, and based
There's
under
a
their
procedure for how
interpretation,
you do
that
objections,
bad
dumbass. You're
vote.
not understanding. If you have a objection to an elector, you have to resolve the objection before moving on. You can't just save them for the
Right.
end.
And
Which
the
is what
vice
he was asking Mike
president,
Pence
the
to.
question
So
is
wait,
whether or
which
not
is
the
what he
vice
was asking Mike
president
Pence
has
to
the
do,
ability to
which
resolve
is
that.
in violation to ECA because ECA specifically lays out what you're supposed to do if you have an objection to an elector.
Now it does. Before, the question
No,
was whether
I'm
the
talking.
vice
Wait.
president
By
had
the
a
way, you're
ceremonial
actually
role
lying.
or
Now
he
you're
had the
lying. Now
authority
you're
to
lying.
decide disputes. No, that
So
was
right
the
now, wait,
ambiguity.
dude.
That's why
I'm looking
the
at the
2022 Electoral
national.
Count Reform Act was put into place, was to get rid of that ambiguity that was in there. But the ambiguity was there as to whether or not the vice
Okay,
president had
I'm
a ceremonial
looking at
role
the
or
2012
whether or not he
edition.
decided disputes.
I'm looking at the
wait, hold on. There's
2012
then
edition
one
right now. I'm
question.
looking at the 2011 edition of the ECA. Okay, right now, and that's what I'm reading. I'm not reading the 2024 or 2025 version or whatever. Okay, I'm reading the
I'm sure some
2011
lawyers
version.
probably had a
Wait,
different
wait,
section.
wait, wait. I just need to know if they believe that it was legal. Why was the plan saying that they were breaking the Electoral Count Act, and why did Greg Jacob get the admission by Johnny Smith that they will lose 9-0 to the Supreme Court? And 2 days before J6, even Mike Pence said to Trump, "Even your own legal counsel is telling you that this is not legal." Everyone was aware that they were breaking the law.
Because at the time, all the challenges to the electoral, or not the electoral, the voting inaccuracies weren't settled in court yet. So
Wait, on Jan 4th, yes, Trump, and by that point, Trump lost every single court case. Every single court case had been lost up to that point. This was 2 days before J6. The cases were done.
Right, well, they were under appeal. You said they were done, but they were all of them were under.
And the emergency appeals were rejected because they didn't have standing or even the merits to overturn the election. And by the way, the existence, by the way, of any of these appeals, the existence of any lawsuit about the election, this has nothing to do with whether or not they are breaking the law. Even if they had 500 lawsuits in appeals court, they still can't break the law. There's no part of DCA that says you can violate it if you have a lawsuit related to the election.
They don't think they're breaking the law, and the intent is what matters.
Okay,
Kinda like
no.
abortion.
Wait. Yes or no? Was the plan to break the procedures of the Electoral Count Act? Yes or no?
Repeat your question.
Yes or no? Was the plan to violate the procedures in the Electoral Count Act?
No.
Scratch, can you read it out loud again?
Yeah,
I don't think he was
Let me
listening.
find it.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm listening to your stupid, repetitive question. And
Because you're not responsive.
There's a reason that these guys actually staged a legal fight for this. There's precedent for it. They ultimately lost.
What's the precedent for it?
In 1960, I think it was, the Hawaii slate of
Yeah.
electors.
This is what he says.
when they
When
were
gets to
certified by the
Arizona,
actual
he
state of
announces that
J6?
he has multiple slates of electors, and so is going to defer decision on that until finishing the other states. This would be the first break with procedure set out in the act.
Oh, so this is the first breaking
is a
of the
break with
procedures.
procedure against the law?
Yes, the
Yes,
procedure
because
is
the
the law.
ECA
Yes, so
is
if
the
you're breaking
procedure-
procedures, you're breaking the law. Yes.
The ECA is the procedure for how to count the electoral, so how to count like
And
these,
how were
votes
they?
and-
How were they counted at the end of the day?
What do, what is
Like
this?
normally when
What
Mike
is
Pence
this?
didn't follow the plan, so yes, it was legal because Mike Pence didn't follow what Trump was
I
asking.
love
Because if
it's
he
like
did, it would
literally
break the
like
law.
you will literally
You
deny
just
everything we just said. We get to just debate you for
Listen,
10
he
minutes
tried.
on the
He
fact that John
tried
Eastman
to get it
wanted to
done
break the
legally.
law, and it's
He
explicit. That
thought
was
that
explicitly what
he
the plan
thought
was. And then we get
that
to it. It's like,
blind
oh well, it did
effort.
happen. Yeah, no shit. It's a criminal conspiracy theory. They were acting outside
It's
of the
not.
law, and the plan was never to follow the law in the first place. Can you admit that
Well,
now?
good luck. Good luck trying to follow that one up and prosecuting Trump on that, because the
Wait,
American public has moved on. Everyone
wait, can
disagrees.
you
this
acknowledge
He
the
is
fact
followed.
scope,
that
by
we
the
just
way.
wait?
This
Can you
is
acknowledge the
scope.
fact that yeah? Can you
He
acknowledge the
followed
fact
the
that
legal
we just
process.
can you acknowledge the fact that
So,
we just proved to you by reading out from the actual memo that the plan the entire time was to act outside of the law in the ECA?
but it's not outside of the law if their
Wait, does
interpretation
the
is
law
different.
does
Guys,
John Eastman
this
in
is
his
getting
memo
boring.
explicitly
This
say
is
that
getting,
this is a break with procedure set out in the act?
a break with procedure is not a break in the law, and
Set
you're
out
going to have to
is the wait. I'm just
describe
gonna
the
ask:
exact.
is the act a law? Is the ECA a law?
Yes, it's federal law.
Of 1887. Yes.
It is
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
So if you're
If
asking to
you're
break
saying
the procedures set in
if
law, that is a violation of the
ECA
law because the law forces you to follow the
true.
procedure.
If the ECA lays out a procedure, is that procedure part of the law?
Sure, it's a part of the law. Is it?
Yes. So
Does
if you
it
were to
break the
break with that
law
procedure,
following
that would
every
be
procedure?
breaking the law
Not
because you're
necessarily.
breaking the procedure set out by the law, dude. Procedure
The
is the
problem is
law.
that it was ambiguous, guys. The
No,
problem is
it's
that the power
okay
of the
for who?
vice president
Mhm.
to decide or whether or not it was ceremonial, that part
It's
was
not
ambiguous.
wait, but the part
Well,
that we're
That
talking
was
about
the
right now is
grounds of
it the
them
part that
bringing
we're
it up.
talking about right now is not
Whether or not
ambiguous. It
it was
literally
legit
explicitly
or
says that you're
that's
not
already
allowed
been
to count.
adjudicated and they lost.
Huh?
Wait,
Right.
one question about that. One question about that. If it was this ambiguous, why did everyone in the criminal conspiracy, everyone, know that this was in violation of the law? John Eastman, which created the plan, he was aware of it. Trump was aware of it. Greg Jacob was aware of it, and Mike Pence was aware of it. Everyone knew.
A lot of people thought the opposite, and I think a few
Give
of
me
the
a name.
Trump
Give me a single name.
of who?
Give me a single person within, like, in the scope of the plan, like a single co-conspirator that believed that this was lawful.
I'm sure the people who worked for Trump thought what they were doing was legal and still do.
No, the co-conspirators, the
Okay.
people that had Jesus Christ.
What a bad debate. Peo, what's up, man? I can't pronounce your name.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
you did.
You can call me Brad. My name is Brad in Portuguese. I'm not sure what I want to talk about. I don't know what do you even believe in, and I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, we were just talking about how Donald Trump tried to coup the government in 2020.
I'm not really interested in talking about that. I'm not even sure. I never looked into that too deep. I have some defenses
We
of
can
that,
talk
but
about how
not
Donald Trump
too
has
much.
violated the Constitution. We can talk about how corrupt he is. We can talk about his disastrous immigration policies.
No, I think that his immigration policy, I mean, it's kind of good in the sense that I think the direction he's going with is correct.
How?
But he's doing no. I'm anti-immigration from the third world, basically. Let me explain myself first. I think he's doing this whole cruelty porn thing with Icy, and I don't like it. He's like it makes the normies mad. It makes people feel weird about it. He keeps posting about, oh, look at these people getting beaten up by Icy and whatever. I don't really like that. I think it's kind of irrational. I think you can do it very methodically without that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I
cool.
think
What about
mass
the third world?
deportation is good.
What about third world immigrants?
The thing about these people, the third world immigrants, is that there are a few problems with them. First of all, they end up consuming more money from the government than they pay back.
What's your evidence of that?
Report. What?
What's your evidence of that?
I can send you an article that goes into this.
Yes, I mean article.
There's 2 articles in here. What?
Yes, I mean article.
Okay, I can send you. Can I send in chat?
Yeah, send side chat.
Okay. Let me look it up here.
Fuck you. We don't like your. Oh my god, bro, so true, dude. Third worlders hate at third worlders.
not just third world. Is I actually just like basically all. I'm gonna be very sincere. I think I'm pretty much against the immigration of all non-whites for various reasons.
Are you
Like,
not
but
a non-white migrant?
yeah, non-white. I'm not like that. No, I'm not a big fan of them.
From which country are you from?
I'm from Brazil,
Br-
but I'm white,
Holy
dude. No,
shit,
trust me,
dude.
I'm white.
I'm white. I'm white.
I'm white. I'm white. I'm white.
No, trust me, I'm a white person. Believe me. You can be sure
Okay,
of
bro.
that.
Totally
Yeah, fake
understand.
white. You'll never be one of us.
Yeah, bro. Right.
No,
Maybe it's
I'm
that
white
like
area.
maybe it's that
Okay, I
indigenous
sent the
admixture which
article.
accounts for the low IQ right now. Okay.
I sent the article. I think it's a pretty good one. I looked at the methodology and it seemed to be all right. Basically, the average Hispanic person and the average black person cost the government more money than they pay back in taxes. He
Wait,
did
but
that by
this is not
calculating.
for migrants. This is for Native Americans as well.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, but the immigrants they become these people. They become part of this group. These
Yeah,
groups.
but how do you know you don't have like a control group? You don't know necessarily like it makes sense that an African American that has been there with his ancestor for
No,
3 centuries will be more poor than a Nigerian migrant. You know that, right?
No, oh yeah, for Nigerians as well. I have a look. I can send a source for that as well. The thing about Nigerian migrants, for example, is that the first generation that they arrive at, they are pretty good. They have a higher income than whites. They are more well educated. But by the second generation, I don't know exactly what happens, but they converge way
Oh,
downward.
this
I
study is
can send
actually terrible, bro. Holy.
my
Is
mic
this
is
a name
bad.
Substacks, bro?
It's a Substack too. It's not even a good. It's not even
Yeah.
a study, bro. It's not even a published one.
No, you can look at the methodology that they utilize. It's good.
Yeah. So the way
It's
that I can
believable.
like the
Wait,
thing
wait,
that they
wait,
mentioned,
wait. Raise
they're only
difference in
measuring. They're
IQ
only
within
measuring. They're
occupations,
literally. They're
bro.
only measuring income tax. This is regarded. I don't know why would they only do this.
Yeah,
Also, bro, table 6,
They're not
raise
measuring.
difference
Like
in
if you're
IQ
gonna
within
measure it, you also need to measure
occupations,
the fact that like
bro. My
immigrants
God.
cause rises in GDP
What?
and generally are gonna like
What?
immigrants cause like rises in GDP, and because they cause like they're also making more money for businesses since they have more laborers. That means those businesses are gonna end up paying more in corporate taxes, right? This study's actually like dog shit, dude. Holy.
I mean, not really. I think it's good to evaluate the individual performance that they make.
Wait,
I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
sure
Is
about
income tax
the
the
per
only way the
capita
government
index.
is the only tax the government has to earn revenue?
I'm not sure about that actually.
Answer's no.
I think it.
Bro.
This is a
I'm
terrible
not
fucking
sure
study.
about it.
Holy.
I mean, not really. I think that the total cost. I think that the total cost calculated is pretty difficult to be compensated by the extra taxes you're mentioning. I'm not too sure about that. I'm gonna apologize. But anyway, no, back to my Nigerian migrants. The thing about
Riley
them is
says
that
some are more
the first generation.
crime-ridden than the expense of the government incurs.
No,
Oh
no,
my
no,
god, bro.
let me. I can
Riley
post the
says
source.
any law
No,
enforcement.
let me post it real quick. I'm looking it up. I'm gonna post it. The thing about Nigerian migrants, as I said, the first generation they perform pretty well, but the second generation they converge downward by a lot. I'm not sure about why this happens. Might be genetic. Might be that the mean of the population is
Bro,
lower,
let's see. Wait,
something like that.
how are they getting their data for like the amount?
What? Oh no, you can look into that. They used income. I remember the exact
How are they
sources,
getting
but I
how are
remember
they getting the amount of welfare they used?
you can read the thing. I don't remember the exact methodology. I remember reading this a few months back and looking at the methodology
Welfare?
and
They
remember
just
it was okay.
Medicare, Medicaid,
I think
what?
I think they utilized they measure, but basically how much use they have for all the services. Like they have, for example, how much of prisoners are black and Hispanic and whatever, and other such costs. You can
Wait,
look at it
this isn't dividing. This
detail.
is just dividing between races too. This isn't dividing between immigrants.
Yeah, but the immigrants are Hispanic or black, so I think
What? There's
it makes
tons of
sense.
Hispanics who are here.
But
Who've
no,
been here longer than native
basically all
whites. What are you talking
Hispanics in
about?
America. No, let me say something. Basically, all Hispanics in America are from like 20th century migration. So It's a good proxy for how they will behave over time.
Probably, yeah, maybe, but
No,
you're
but
gonna want
something
to
I want to
you're gonna
say
want to
here. I'm gonna be
you're,
real
you're
with
gonna
you.
want to
I'm
differentiate. You're
actually
like you're trying to
what?
differentiate between immigrants and non-immigrants. This isn't a good study to do it because it's just dividing racial groups. That's all it's doing. It's not actually looking at like
No, but
immigrants overall.
the immigrants are from those countries. They're Hispanic as well, so I think you can expect them to behave almost the same.
No,
I mean, not really.
that's like
Not really.
that's like looking at Cubans versus like other Hispanics and saying they're gonna American Cubans are gonna behave the same. That's not true, bro. Obviously.
No, I know,
Just
but as a general statement,
this
yes.
is the dog shit study. It's one. It's not measuring what you want to measure. It's just measuring differences between races. And two, the methodology is trash because it's only when it comes to the amount of income, it's only looking at income tax. It's actually dog shit. This study sucks, dude.
I mean, not sure. Another journey, they only look at that. You
Here,
can look
let
into it
me
later.
let me help a brother out. Okay, look at the Cato Institute. They have way better studies. Okay, bro, trust.
I mean, not really. The the Cato Institute is inhabited by libertarian ideologues. I'm not sure about how they do this because, like,
Bro, you
you have
cited
if
me
you
a
see different
Substack
articles.
from
Let me
somebody
say
who's
something. No, let me
obviously
say
like,
something.
dude, wait.
You have different articles where they
Alden
talk about how
Whitefield? Who the fuck is
anyone who
this
makes
dude?
as in like the median income is a net loss for the government, and then they make other articles about how immigrants, which are disproportionately lower income, actually contribute more. It doesn't really make too much sense. But I have
Bro, like,
an
so you say
article
the
from
Cato Institute's biased? Like, this dude's obvious. Like, are we serious? Like, Alden Whitefield, this dude's obviously like on a sub. He's posting on. Well, he's not posting an academic journal, nor is he posting in like an established think tank, right? This dude's like almost 100%. I'm gonna guarantee he's like hugely biased.
okay. Okay. Sure. I think the methodology is fine overall. I think they measure the amount of taxes paid pretty well. I'm not sure if the effects that you mentioned are enough to compensate for the overall cost. I'm not sure about that. I have to look into it. I'm just not sure right now.
Here, bro. Here's the Cato study. Go ahead. Have at it, bud. Have at it.
But that's of course. This depends on the immigrant group. Would you be willing to concede that some groups are no good and that they shouldn't enter America? Like some extremely underperforming groups. Yes or no?
Some
Yes.
can see that some groups underperform. Maybe in the short
No,
term.
can see that some groups underperform enough that they shouldn't enter America. Say a group that underperforms really badly, for example, are Somali migrants. Do you think they should be barred from entering?
What are you using the CAS study on that, dude?
No, I remember seeing a bunch of different sources on this. I'm not remember exactly what
From
study.
every source I've looked at,
Is
it's
that
really they don't like account for the fact that the Somali population is skewed towards like younger people, and then most of the studies only exclusively look at Minnesota, and when you round the entire population of all Somalis, and then you control for the fact that Somalis are like disproportionately skewed towards the younger side, you get like they're about the same as any other immigrant.
Are you sure about that? Because
Yeah,
for
that's
example,
that's the
no,
CIS study that
because for
everybody counts.
example,
That's like they're 80% of people on welfare. Yeah,
they're no, because their welfare use, from what I remember, was like 81%, and like,
yeah, that's the CIS
what are
study.
you?
Yep, that's the CIS study I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm very sure about that.
Okay, but just being younger would mean that they all use welfare. I don't think that's really true. Hispanics are also younger on average. Indian immigrants as well. Indian immigrants are pretty young. They usually came here in America. Sorry, not here. I live in Brazil. They usually went to America not too long ago, and they're pretty well off. They're doing pretty well. They don't use that much welfare. Like I'm not sure about that. Sorry. I think Somalis are just bad.